Today on Homeworthy, we're stepping into the vibrant and dynamic world of Charlotte, North Carolina homes, where bold patterns, personal stories, and a love for design shine through. First, we'll tour a beautifully renovated childhood home where colorful layers blend old and new, reflecting a lifetime of design inspiration. Next, we'll visit a playful home filled with bold colors, vintage finds, and whimsical touches, lovingly nicknamed the Bunny House. And finally, we'll explore a chartreuse-filled haven where bold patterns and personal dreams come together, creating a joyful space for a young, growing family. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Holly Hollingsworth Phillips. I own the English Room, which is an interior design firm. We originally started importing English antiques, which is where the name came from. I also have a content creation business and blog that I've had for about 12 years. So that's kind of my side hustle because I love to shop. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina. My home is my family home that my parents built in 1963. I bought it from them about 5 years ago when they moved to a retirement community. I just couldn't let it go. And it's a very traditional Williamsburg home when they built it, filled with American antiques. And then the early 80s, my mother hired Mario Buwata to decorate the house. So there are a few little remnants left of his design style. And I've taken it to a more eclectic, colorful, layered look. My style is a mix of traditional and contemporary. I love modern art and I love abstract art. I have a penchant for color that I cannot escape. I try and do neutral and then I end up layering it with all different colors and patterns. I love animal print. I love rainbows, which you'll see throughout the house. And I love just more color, and I love Iris Apfel's theory of more is more. This is my living room. Welcome. This is one of my favorite rooms in the house. I love all of the color and the neutral base. In here, I have one of my favorite art pieces by Sally King Benedict, who is an artist who's now living in Idaho, but she's represented by Heidel Brooks Gallery in Charlotte. We have some contemporary little scallop chairs with brass bases. One of my favorite sofas that I've had since I moved back to Charlotte in 1999, and it still hasn't been recovered, so good things can last. My favorite fabric is the curtain fabric, which is an Osborne and Little Christian Lacroix. And I love the kind of fluorescent flowers on the bold black background. I have lots of antiques mixed in with my contemporary pieces. This is a pretty little 18th century painted French table with a cabriole leg. The treasures and trinkets, everybody laughs because I can go anywhere and shop. Shopping is my gift. And I went to India with Egypt with a dear friend last year, and he said he'd already been, and he was like, there's absolutely nothing to buy. I bought about 50 little trinkets that are in this room and filled up an entire bag and had to take his bag. So I can shop anywhere. These are some chairs that were actually my parents that stayed here when they moved, and I recovered them in a contemporary fabric. Another interesting element in this room is I knew I wanted the walls to stay neutral so that all the bright colors and the art could pop. But I did a Tebow grass cloth that's a cream color with these little grommets or little additions of paint and squares on it. And they have a little metallic pearl sheen, which I think adds a nice element to the background. This is one of my favorite pieces. I bought it on a buying trip with my parents when I was younger. I'm the youngest of 4 children, and I would often get sent on buying trips with my parents when the older children were off doing things. So I started going on buying trips when I was 10 or 12. And so each trip, which you'll see in another room, I bought a painting, and occasionally I would buy a piece of furniture. So I think I bought this when I was a teenager at some point. I loved it. And I love the chamfered corner and the fretwork and all the things. So I've had it with me as soon as I moved into my adult house after college. This was one of the first things I had, and I treasure it. These fun chairs are Bernhardt, covered in hide, which I love, and I love almost a little Western nod, which is unusual, obviously, in this house. These pretty goat skin tables, obviously vellum tops, little pretty legs with the little animal foot, an antique tortoise frame that's from England from a buying trip, another little Egypt treasure, which I have many of them. Obviously, I love purple from looking at my living room, you can tell. These purple lamps I bought from a vendor at High Point Market and adore them, and then just replaced the shades pretty recently from a vendor in Charleston. And I think updating shades makes such a difference, and I'm slowly changing everything in my house to a little more pattern, a little more color. This is my father and I in probably 1990 at my debutante ball. The sofa has a funny story. I ordered this years ago and I sent my delivery guys to pick it up. And most clients don't generally go as bold as I go for myself. And the delivery guys, before they would put it on the truck, they were like, I think it's the wrong color. It's this crazy purple. You definitely don't want this sofa. They've put the wrong fabric on it. Well, turns out it's exactly what I wanted. So they brought it back and I love it. But it's also one of the ones that I've probably had 15 years and not recovered. It has a little child damage if you look too close, but it's one of my favorites. This painting is from Shane Gallery, from a Nashville artist, and it is an encaustic, so it's covered in wax, and something about rainbows just appeals to me. I think it's so hopeful, and so I immediately saw it, and I also love the round shape. I think it's so unusual. So I immediately moved what I had here, which you'll now see in another room. Everything always moves around in my house. Nothing stays still. These are more of my favorite trinkets from various trips to India and Egypt. The scarab boxes, little thunderbirds. I bought this. This is another one that my friend Grant was like, why are you buying a big brass keychain? What are you going to do with that? But it makes me remember the resort in the middle of India that we went on a leopard safari. And so I don't think everything has to be fine in order to love it. Always changing out cushions in my house. And the reason is not only because I love cushions, but I have a dog that eats the corner of every single cushion. And if you pick up pillows in my house, there's likely an eaten corner. So I am constantly changing them out. Even today when I was fluffing, I noticed that we had more eaten cushions than I knew about. I collect match strikers, which I'll show you in the secretary in a minute, but this is just one of the many match strikers that I collect. This is my penchants for chinoiserie, and I love, 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 love anything lacquer. So I had wanted a black lacquer secretary and had looked for one for years on buying trips, and they were always outrageously priced. And so a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, soon after I moved into this house, that I found at auction at a local auction house that was such a steal, and I adore it. I've got my collection of antique match strikers here, my grandmother's paperweights that are Murano, and various things she collected from her travels, and a collection of tortoise boxes, and then one of my many art books on stand. So I love this piece. I love all the storage. I love all the little secret drawers throughout. It's a great place to hide things, a great place for your stationery, and I just think it brings such depth to the room with the boldness and the height. Love this little chair. It is based on the Badminton House, in a chair that was found, designed by Thomas Chippendale, in the Badminton House in England. And after college, I went to London and studied at Sotheby's Decorative Arts course. And this happened to be one of the pieces that I had to write my thesis on. And then I saw it at a antique shop in Charleston. So it's a copy, obviously, but it's a good 20th century copy. And I love the story of that. It's something that I had to study years ago. Welcome to my library. This room is a paneled walnut room that was my father's pride. He loves this room, and I threatened to lacquer it a bright blue when I first moved in, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I've actually come to love the dark wood. This room showcases lots of my art, mostly 18th century, 19th century sporting art from England. I started collecting these, that's what I was saying earlier, started collecting these dog paintings, and every buying trip I would get to buy a dog painting. So as you can see throughout the walls, there are dog paintings everywhere. I'm a huge dog lover. And so each one represents a different buying trip as a child going to England. So it's really special to me. And I also think it's a great juxtaposition from the contemporary art throughout the rest of the house. So this little settee love seat was here when my parents lived here. I recovered it. I love the bright, bold iCat pillows that are Samuel & Sons trim on Cole & Sons fabric. Little vintage pillow I found on Cherish. These little pillows are from Anthropologie. This table has a great story. So I had always wanted a Charbet table with the antelope head, and they are an absolute fortune on First Dibs. And I had a search in my eBay for years for this, and it popped up one day that a pawn shop in Montana had these, and I bought them from there and had them shipped here. So that was a good find, like my secretary. Moving on, so more art. Langlois, this is one of my favorite English ones. Small farm scene above. I have so many books. Luckily, with my design blog, I often get sent new releases from a lot of Rizzoli and Assouline and different vendors. So I am lucky enough to have almost every design book that's out there. And I did them color coordinated because I love color and I thought it would be fun. More dog paintings behind the door with other little treasures mixed in. This is Alexis Walter, who's one of my favorite artists. You'll see more of her work throughout the house. Again, a whole wall of dog paintings. This one right here of the terrier, which I love terriers. We have 3 rescues right now, but have grown up with Jack Russells, and one of mine, the bad one that eats the pillows, is a Jack Russell. This, when I bought at Sotheby's, actually, at an estate sale 10, 15 years ago, it had Mark Hampton's name on the back written in chalk. No idea if it was his or if it was his client's, but that was an interesting story. This little table of the paper mache tray has a picture of Dignity and Impudence, which is a really famous English dog painting, and I had bought a copy of it, which is on the wall behind you. Bought a copy of it years ago and then found the tray, so I loved that. And then I needed to mix a little contemporary in here with all the traditional, so I did a contemporary lighting piece from Worlds Away. A campaign style chest with little black ebony insets and lion head mounts, which I adore. This table was a piece that my parents had and had left here. The frog tureen was a gift from my parents that we had always had this on a table in our house, and I had coveted as well as some of my siblings, and I ended up getting it, so I was thrilled about that. I bought this in this painting last year, actually, in Parma. I love how rough and how almost abstract the design is, and it's from a 19th century Spanish artist, and I bought it in Italy at the Antiques Fair. This is a favorite. I grew up with Shelties as well as Jack Russells, so this picture of a collie I had to have when I saw it. So this room's just special to me because it's a place to house all my dog paintings. This is one of my favorite rooms to get away from the other people in the house. I will come in here and work on my computer. I'll come in here and look at my design books. It's a great place for me to get inspired because I'll just grab a book if I need a little inspiration. I think a really easy way to incorporate color is to do it with cushions and pillows. Is a great place to start because you can switch them out. It's not a huge commitment. I love bold colors, obviously, on sofas and upholstery, but I think if someone wants to buy neutral upholstery, they can easily punch it up with a throw over the back of something with a cushion. Lamp shades are an easy way to add color. I do think it's important when you move into a home, even though I lived here my entire childhood, I would have painted this when I first moved in and I would have regretted it. I think it's really important to live in spaces and kind of see how you're going to use them and learn how you're using them before you make drastic changes. Welcome to my primary bedroom. My favorite thing is this Bernhardt lucite and brass bed, acrylic and brass bed. I also adore the walls. They are grass cloth from Tebow, and they have glitter in them. It's called glitter grass. That was a little bit of a shock to my husband when we had this installed. He didn't get to say anything about the whole house, and he just got it as a surprise. This is a portrait of my son that I adore by Jonette Egley. This piece was part of Iris Apfel's collection, who, as you may know, is one of my favorite people and kind of icons that I adore. She unfortunately passed away this year, but she did a collection for Frontgate, and they actually reached out to me. Maybe it was Grandin Road, which is one of their other companies. They reached out to see if I would feature some of their pieces. And it's a double elephant wicker console, which I think is about the most fabulous thing ever. I have a love of elephants. My grandmother collected elephants, so I ended up with a few of hers. And for some reason, I've just always been drawn to them. I collect needlepoint pillows. I used to think I was just indecisive. Now I'm not sure. So my husband thinks I'm terribly indecisive. I'm actually really not. It's just on where we're going to go to dinner. But I thought it was a good nod to his side of the bed, and he can see my indecisiveness. This chest is also Bernhardt. When I redid the room a few years ago, I needed more storage, so I added this. I love the combination of mirror and brass. Contemporary painting by Danny Jeschert. The colors and the abstract nature I adore. These were some lamps that I had picked up, I think, at a flea market, added some ikat shades that I had made locally. New rug that I recently purchased, had made specifically for this room in India, and thrilled with how it turned out. It was kind of, sent them a few colors and they just went with it, and it's turned out perfectly. Blackout roller shades, which I highly recommend, as well as blackout curtains. I love to sleep in pitch black dark. This chest is one that I also got as a child on a buying trip. It was kind of an era of English antiques where they were painting everything. So this is an old chest that was painted probably 20 years ago, and they put my mother's initials on the side and her logo of what the English room used to be, the logo, which was a basket of flowers. So it's special to me. This is a portrait of my daughter by Deborah Walsh, and love completely different style than my son. I love how abstract and how simple line drawing this is. And it really captured her at that age. Again, another favorite pillow with the animals, the paint horse and the zebra. My crazy bookshelf over here, which, if you can believe it or not, have actually dwindled it down. It was even worse yesterday. I have a collection of cowboy boots, and I have a weakness for cowboy boots. So this is some of my favorite cowboy boots. These I had made in San Miguel de Allende by an American person, American lady named Carrie Cameron Art, and she hand paints the boots after they're made in Mexico. These are some Fraulein boots. These are the horse girl boots, so I had to have those. These are city boots, and they're my favorite Evil Eye boot. I was actually the model when they launched this collection because they knew how much I loved it. And it was photographed in this house. And then it's also filled with treasures like my Olympia Latan book clutches, which I have quite a few of and adore. Also collect so many things. Wicker animals, wicker funny shaped purses. I've always loved them and don't know why. A bag of my grandmother's, just kind of a mix of things that I love in here. A snakeskin rainbow purse. So it's a collection of boots from all different vendors and some of my favorite things. So I sleep on this side of the bed and I get to look at all of my favorite things. Even Ganesh, little Ganesh from India. These small pieces behind the bed are little abstract faces by Sally King Benedict, who's one of my favorite artists, represented at Hadel Brooks Gallery in Charlotte. The piece in the living room over the mantel is also her. These lamps are Bunny Williams' home. The bed is a mix of linens from lots of places: Peacock Alley, Annie Selke, Christy Kohut. And I went with a very neutral upholstery, a performance velvet on this bed because I wanted to be able to change the linens out, which I do often. Sometimes I'll have a printed duvet. Sometimes I'll have this Annie Selke puff. I love to switch it out all the time. I welcome you to my kitchen. This is one of the spaces that we actually redid and did a small addition out the back. The previous kitchen was pretty small here, and a relatively small breakfast room with a little screened-in porch behind it. So we extended the whole space and made it bigger and one room versus a kitchen and breakfast room separate. I adore the size of this room. We spend probably 90% of our time in here if we're not sitting in the den. I am not a cook. I do not cook, but I love a pretty kitchen. This room is filled with lots of art. This is a recent addition from Hadel Brooks Gallery. Kim Testone, who's one of my favorite realist artists. I loved the Rainbow Sherbet. It spoke to me. And so I had seen one she'd done that was smaller and had commissioned her to do a larger one. This is an artist from Florida, represented at Gallery Orange in New Orleans. I bought Dolly when I was in New Orleans on a trip one time and couldn't resist it. Covered in acrylic, super thick, super dense. And then she makes all these individual weird little plastic figures, and she makes them herself, which I think is fascinating. And then I bought Queen Elizabeth right before she died, so I feel like I was meant to have her. This is the table where we spend all our casual family meals. This piece is really special. I bought it at a local auction house, Leland Little Gallery up in Hillsborough. And I had been watching this artist. I was so fascinated by these bold colors and bold shapes. Well, it turns out he's a well-known North Carolina folk artist. He had had a stroke, and after that happened, his vision was impaired. So he could only see bold shapes and he could only see bright colors. So that's why his work changed so drastically. And I love the large format. Everything he did after he had a stroke became large format. So it's one of my favorite pieces. These are a collection. This is Martin Summers as well as that. I bought it at High Point Market from a great antique dealer there. Lily Wallace, Alexis Walter, contemporary lighting from Hudson Valley. This is one of my favorite Jonathan Adler big acrylic pieces. Live edge table, loop chairs with a nod to Francis Elkin. They are bungalow home, which has changed to villa and home, but I love these chairs. I covered them in a green vinyl so they would be durable and you could wipe them off. The stripe on the banquette is also a performance fabric. These little chairs have been recovered once in 5 years already, and they get more use. Everybody sits here on phone calls. They sit here and check their phone. They sit here on their computer. My daughter does her homework sitting in these chairs. Everybody seems to love sitting in these funny little chairs. So we wanted 5 bar stools so everybody in the family had a place to sit. I wanted a huge island and a little prep. I decided to do the small prep sink in the island and a large sink over by the window. The backsplash is my favorite thing in the kitchen. It's from Artistic Tile, and it's these little brass stars inset in kind of a lantern shape tile. I had tried my darndest to find, there was a tile I saw on the floor of the Cathedral in Siena library that was these little stars, and I tried to have it made, but I couldn't find anybody to do it. So this kind of is a nod to the little stars of the cathedral in Siena, Italy. Welcome to my bar. We love this space. I was a ambassador for Florence Broadhurst Wallpaper, which is what this wallpaper is, when they launched a few years ago from Australia and tried to reboot the collection. She was a 1960s and 70s graphic designer and artist that became well known and has a fascinating story. So I was excited to use that in my house. This is a piece by Hunt Slonim. It's a diamond dust bunny, which I love. This piece is from an artist in Atlanta represented by Mainline Art, and she does mostly horse pieces and sells her work at horse shows in Aiken, South Carolina. It looks like my horse, who's a paint with a little bit of white, and we have a huge love of martinis in this house, so I thought I needed that and was given it for Mother's Day a few years ago. This rug I bought last year in Morocco. I love the bold chartreuse and thought it was a nice tie-in to the hallway behind me. I have a ridiculous collection of glassware and more in storage, but I can't stop collecting them. These are favorites. Penland School of Art is in the North Carolina mountains and is very well known. This is Billy Bernstein, and he hand blows all of these up there. And I have a collection here as well as our mountain house. This painting is another favorite by Kim Testone, the same person who did the Rainbow Sherbet in the other room. I commissioned this for Father's Day a few years ago for my husband. It was really a gift for me. but we both love Bloody Marys as well. So I had her do a big Bloody Mary to represent our love of them. I added, wanted flat front cabinets like the kitchen and kept it very simple. I added an acrylic and brass mount hardware for this space to kind of make it a little more contemporary. This tray I also purchased years ago on a buying trip with the faux tortoise inset. It's one of my favorite things. And my collection of whiskey and tequila gets well used, especially around the holidays. Welcome to my den. This is really the heart of our home after the kitchen. We spend all of our time in here every night. This is where we kind of sit and decompress and watch TV. And my husband binges sports and all the things. This room is chock-a-blocked and filled with lots of treasures. This is a funny, the hearth is definitely a throwback to the Williamsburg era. This is actually a working grill. We don't use it because it smokes the house up, but we haven't gotten rid of it. I'm working on finding someone who can put a pizza oven there. This piece of art is a favorite by a local artist, Stephen Wilson. He is super interesting because he takes and does needlework basically on top of all of these luxury boxes. And I loved this series with the Gucci boxes and the eyes. Antique chest, pretty little acrylic candy dish. This is one of my favorite fabrics that I recently recovered a contemporary chair in. I found the chair on Cherish. The curtains are Stroheim, and I love the embroidery and I love the color of the chartreuse mixed with the purple and the pink. These chairs are also part of the Florence Broadhurst collection, and I love the parrots on the edges. And the fabric is from an English designer whose name has escaped me, but I love it's really soft to the hand and beautiful birds embroidered on it. On the mantle are ceramic pieces by an artist, Virginia Scotchy, who's represented at Haddell Brooks Gallery. And Jenna Julian is the artist on the piece that I commissioned for up here. It's such a long, skinny space. It was hard to find something, so I had to commission something. And over in this corner, Yves Saint Laurent print, which I have very few prints because I really believe in original art. But an Yves Saint Laurent print of the year that I was born, he did his own Christmas cards every year and he would draw them or paint them. And I particularly loved this one, and it was the year I was born, so I added that to my collection. This coffee table is one of my favorite finds ever. It has an inset bar. It is a coffee table from E.J. Victor. It is a copy of a French one that Aaron Lauder designed. So it was in Aaron Lauder's E.J. Victor collection. And I think the table was over $20,000. I happened to be driving to our mountain house and saw a sign for an E.J. Victor sample sale and went in and bought the table for less than a 20th of what it was retail. So that was one of my best finds ever. And I love it. It's huge. You can absolutely cut your leg off though on the corners. But it's one of my best finds. It has my ever-growing collection of books, which I'm always trying to thin out, but it's constantly growing. I also have a collection of crystals that a friend gave me, and then I started finding them, and then I also seem to find heart rocks. I don't know why, and I saved them. This is a fun piece that's beaded that I bought in Mexico in San Miguel de Allende, and it's fully beaded skull. And then the art above the sofa. This piece is something I picked up off the street and had framed in acrylic, which I adore. It was in Morocco last year in Marrakesh on the street. So I love that piece with the funny man and his sunglasses and his little watch. This is Gigi Collins. This big piece used to be in the living room where the rainbow was. Rainbow is now, and it is Alexis Walter, who's a New Orleans artist. And I bought that probably 15 years ago, and she has since blown up. She's represented at Haddell Brooks Gallery. She has her own gallery in New Orleans. She's amazing. The sofa is a chartreuse velvet that is one of my favorite colors. Obviously, did chartreuse down the hallway. And it has been really good because it's 110 inches long, so it's huge. And we can squish a lot of people on it. Then over here is Leslie Granger and then Ashley Longshore of Frida. And Ashley Longshore, if you don't know her, she's a New Orleans artist who's recently moved to Manhattan. She is hilarious to follow on Instagram and has a really great, funny perspective. Again, faux bois gesso table, 2 little pieces, a Nashville artist that does work in crayons that I purchased from Sozo Gallery that no longer is going, but I love the work. And these little swivel chairs with brass bases. And this is where we kind of sit every night. This is a piece that I inherited from my parents. It's a Swedish wedding chest. You'll note a date painted on it somewhere. And these were given as traditional gifts to brides. The piece of art is Charlie Hanovich, who's an Atlanta artist. My husband loves the Rolling Stones, so I gave him that for, I think, a birthday one year, and had Charlie do a Mick Jagger. This is for playing our albums. Little contemporary lamp. Then moving over here, this is, again, you'll notice that I give my husband pieces that I really want for myself, but call it a gift. This piece I loved because it says, "Get your shit together," but you can't really see it. So it was a little more subtle. It's black on black. It's just a different matte and sheen. So I framed that in the neon acrylic to make it pop. We love backgammon in this house. So this is our acrylic backgammon table. And then this is a piece of Jerry Garcia from a Charleston artist, framed in, again, neon acrylic. This is a Geraldine Newworth piece from TFA Fine Art. And I love her collages and I love her use of color, super bold and bright. Moving around, again, another little nod. This is a favorite little Grateful Dead nod. What a long, strange trip it's been, with a nod to Jerry Garcia. And this is from Furbish Studio. I love their needlepoint pillows. This piece is, again, from the Florence Broadhurst collection from a company named Salamat. I love the detail and the design on this, and I think it's such a great juxtaposition to the traditional Swedish and the traditional bow front chest. These little collection of beaded African animals are favorites of mine. I've gathered them over the years at High Point Market. They're all beaded by women tribes in Africa, and they're paid fair wages, which I appreciate. So I always kind of, each High Point Market, I treat myself to another one. These pieces are by Stephanie Henderson, who's an Atlanta artist, represented by Greg Irby Gallery. And then lots of snakes and treasures that I've gathered from places around. The rug is stark carpet. I am a huge believer that animal print rugs hide all sins. So this has been amazing. I have leopard rugs and animal print, tiger, antelope throughout the house in many places because that really hides all sins. So this room, the walls and the beams came out of a barn in Pennsylvania. When my parents were building the house in the early 60s, my grandfather purchased a barn that was being torn down, and they used all the wood from that in this den for my parents as well as my aunt and uncle's house. This is my favorite room in the house. I designed this wallpaper with Paul Montgomery, who's a company out of Virginia. He helped me mesh a lot of ideas together to come up with the perfect paper. He now has it in his line. The blue and black base is based on a wallpaper that is in a restaurant in London. I'd taken a picture of that. And then obviously my love of animals of all sorts. So we incorporated kind of an India theme with Indian elephants, giraffes, which obviously aren't found on the same continent, but I didn't care. I kind of wanted to mix it all up. Horses, antelopes, more elephants. I had him add a tiger. At the time, my son was in boarding school at a school that tiger was their mascot. So that was a fun little nod. Beautiful birds. There's monkeys and butterflies, camels. So it's kind of a mix of everything. There's an Indian wedding scene on this wall. And this room just makes me happy. I love the black lacquer, which was obviously a very bold choice compared to what it was before, which was a soft yellow, very soft paint. I put silver Schumacher grass cloth on the ceiling to give it a little more sheen. The light fixture is from Curry & Company, And it has these beautiful little selenite crystals, which are supposed to bring good energy and good vibes to your home. So I loved the idea of that. The chairs I've had since I moved back to Charlotte in 1999. They've been in the same, it's the same tiger fabric that's on the love seat in the living room. They are Louis Solomon chairs with a Ralph Lauren no longer available tiger that I love, sadly. And table linens are recent purchase from India, Dascoli linens, and they are beautiful and handmade in India and hand printed. And I really appreciate their quality of workmanship. The table is set for a little birthday dinner for a friend. Again, Billy Bernstein glasses, Estelle glass, which out of Charleston, if you don't know, she makes beautiful glassware all based on her grandmother's collection of glass. These plates I found actually at the Met in New York in their gift shop and used them for a show house, and they kept shipping them. So I had 12 shipped. They came in a box, no paper, no wrapping, all in shards. Reordered them, all in shards. So I finally have a set of them, but I also saved all the shards because the plates have gone up in crazy in value, and I thought it could be fun to make a mirror of a shard mirror one day. So never got around to it, but it's a thought. The flatware is vintage bamboo from Cherish in gold, which I love bringing in the gold and mixing gold and silver. And then the side plates are Lynn Chase, and it's part of her Monkey Business series, which I have as a breakfast china as well. So I love mixing in the different patterns together. Then moving around this side of the room, I love this tureen. It's part of the Haas Brothers collection for L'Objet, and they are contemporary artists, and they do these kind of monsters and these weird creatures, and I love this tureen. So it's a soup tureen, and these are the, or it actually might be, it is soup. It's soup tureen, and these are the ladles. And these large vases are part of Aaron Lauder collection. These tables I've had for a zillion years. Don't even remember. I picked them up at a flea market, I think. Metrolina when it used to be or Scott's in Atlanta, one of the two. I love tying in the lime green from other parts of the house with the little ottomans. This is a piece from a Brooklyn artist. Love this little shiny encaustic piece. This is one of my favorite pieces. Again, my love of black lacquer. I bought this at Scott's in Atlanta, which is a great antique show once a month actually. Love the blue chinoiserie figures. This piece is a bowl by Bertz Kaysen, who is a New Orleans ceramicist who has passed away, but his work is now being done by one of his apprentices. In here, I did a radius return brass rod with green silk taffeta curtains, and then a pretty French blue kind of cerulean velvet tape down the leading edge to kind of make the green pop out of the walls. Welcome to my entry. This is again the part that welcomes you into the home. One of my favorite things in this space is the runner. I had this custom made with stark carpet based on the original runner that Mario Buada had done in the house. I changed up the colors to make them more vibrant with pinks and purples and added a little black. The walls in here are Schumacher Miles Red deconstructed stripe. And then I used a small grosgrain tape all the way around to frame the whole thing. There was also originally growing up, there was a blue moire paper here with a similar tape that framed it. So I wanted to have the nod to that. This is the original bell jar that was in the house. Another piece of art by Sally King Benedict, who's seen other places in the house, from Haddell Brooks Gallery. I love these little funny hand benches from Interlude Home, I believe. This rug was a recent custom piece done by Post House Design, and they let me custom color a rug and obviously custom size it. This rug is another find off of Etsy. I was searching Herky rugs, as I often do, and found the one with the horse and knew that I had to have it because it has horses and people in it. Entry table, I found at Slate Interiors, which is a great shop here in Charlotte, and had it lacquered this nice fuchsia magenta color. with metallic garden stools underneath. Art from Haddell Brooks Gallery. I love these couture home lamps with the abalone shell and little gilded interior shades. To me, home means being comfortable in your own space. I feel like your space should represent your personality and reflect all the things you love. Obviously, I love color and I love animals, so that's kind of what defines my house. I love all the layers and I love collecting. Shopping is my superpower, so it's great that I have a job that I can do that every day. Thanks for coming by, Homeworthy. I appreciate you being here. See you next time.
On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're in Charlotte, North Carolina, visiting the vibrant home of interior designer Alexis Warren. Renowned for her bold use of color and pattern, Alexis has made a name for herself by creating distinct and inviting spaces, both in her own home and for her clients. Inspired by her artistic roots and global travels, Alexis has curated one-of-a-kind designs that reflect her personality throughout each room. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To book a virtual consultation with Alexis on TALD, scan the QR code on your screen or click on the link in the description box below.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Alexis. Welcome to my home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Can't wait to show you around. Hi, I'm Alexis, owner and designer at Alexis Warren Designs. I live here in Charlotte at my favorite project, my house, as we affectionately call it, Club Bev. So in all of my projects, everything has a name to it, and we decided to name our house Club Bev, but we'll get into that later. So our house is in Charlotte in the neighborhood of Myers Park, and it is built in the 1940s. So you'll see we have a lot of original moldings, we have a lot of original built-ins, and some really quirky spaces that I've actually added some extra storage. So I really love to lean into that in any of my designs. I love a project that has a base of an old home. So you'll see as we go through, there's lots of color, lots of texture, lots of pattern. It's what I'm known for. I love it. Anything I see that makes me happy. It's actually a really funny story when we first walked into our house. It was the summer when I found out I was pregnant with our son Davis, and we lived in a small cottage in Dilworth, which I loved and was definitely the project that got me started. I told my husband, I said, we have to move. He was like, we're not moving. So our realtor, who's a friend of mine, says it's the funniest story. I called her, I said, hey, I'm ready to move. My husband doesn't want to move. No idea what my budget is, and I want to live on Beverly Drive. And so we looked and we looked and we looked. I think I saw everything on the market. If you're familiar with Charlotte, everything goes very fast. So finally, it was my husband's birthday. We walked into this house and he was like, I love it. We just walked in. Everyone says when they walk in, it feels like our old house that we lived in, that like we adored. So when we walked in, it was just our house on a bigger scale and was exactly the space that we needed. And I loved that we were able to use every single room. So when we walk through, I'll kind of show you that. But every room in our house is used every single day, and we love it. All right, I'm very excited to show you guys. This is what we consider our formal sitting room. I say formal in a very, very loose term. Nothing in our house is overly formal, and I always say that to all of my clients about anything that we do, but I always like spaces to be warm and approachable and lived in. So even though this is formal, it's really not. This is where I spend most of my time. So you'll see as we walk through, this is definitely a more feminine space. And then as we walk into our den, it's kind of more my husband's room. So this room just brings me so much joy. It was probably the first room that I designed as soon as we put an offer in on our house. Of course, as a designer, I had already space planned everything. And this was the room that I was most excited for. This room has changed probably 20 times. People come in all the time and they're like, oh, this is different. And then I finally landed on this layout, but you could come tomorrow and it might be different. This space, like I said, is my favorite. This has everything that I love in it. This wallpaper was probably the first thing we picked. I picked. It's House of Harris. It is beautiful. People walk in and actually think it's hand painted. My installer is amazing, and so you can barely see any seams. I really wanted to play off all of the different colors. So lots of pinks, yellows, purples, greens. The more color for me, the better. So what we started with, like I said, was the paper. And then I went in and I painted all of our trim. It's something I love to do. I think it makes a room feel more finished. So I painted all of the trim a light green that pulls into some of the leaves. My favorite part about this room, and what is very different from the way I design for my clients, is everything in this room just kind of came to me. It wasn't professionally like put out on a mood board and designed. I just found everything that I loved. So these chairs I am obsessed with, and this sofa. A vendor of mine here in Charlotte who does a lot of great pieces, she found these on a shopping trip, Adrian, and she texted me pictures. I think the sofa was first, and it used to be in my office, and she said, I saw this sofa, you have to have it. It's original fabric, so I've never changed it. And I just love the pink, and I love the way that it works with the wallpaper. I love pillows. My husband is like, really more pillows, but I love them. So I went with a Molly Mahone. I use everything from her, from Schumacher, in the back. And then I found these pillows actually at a great vintage sale. So there's this sale that pops up here in Charlotte. A friend of my mother-in-law's started it, and it's called the Chinoiserie Squirrel. If you're from Charlotte, you know about it. The line wraps around the building like before it even opens, and it pops up once a month. So Jackie, who sells pillows there, had these made, and I love them, and then snagged that from Cotswold Marketplace, and I love it. So going through again, like this seating arrangement to me was exactly what I wanted. I love everything around a fireplace, and this is where we sit. We have cocktails after dinner. This is where I had book club with all of my girlfriends probably last week. And then even my son and I, when he was a newborn, he was born at Christmas time. So we sat in here every single morning when he woke up, gave him his bottle, had the fire going, jazz music. It was my all-time favorite. So this room is extremely special to me. We have a fabulous Schumacher showroom here, and they have a little boutique that's connected to it. So I went a little crazy and snagged some pillows from them. So I'll kind of point those out throughout. And so I love them. Everything I do is typically custom made because I love playing with trims and playing with fabrics. But you'll see some stuff that I've pulled that I love. And then you'll also notice throughout my house, there is a ton of art. I love art. It is extremely special to me. My mom and my grandmother are both artists. And so even though I didn't get the art gene, I guess I got the design gene. So it is still somewhat connected. I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. So I count on them for that. But my mom and my grandmother really taught me like my love for color and texture and throwing out things that are a little more unexpected. So you'll see that throughout. And I have a lot of stories about my art. That's something that's important to me when I work with my clients. I used to work for an art gallery here in Charlotte as I was starting my business. Hi, Hannah. And so Hannah really taught me more about art than like I could have ever like grasped on my own. And to me, art is like, as Hannah says too, it's always should evoke a conversation, a feeling, emotion. So there's nothing in my house that it's technically color perfect, but everything is a little more unexpected and everything just works. So you'll see things that look a little different than you think that would actually be in a room. So starting here, I snagged these when I worked in the gallery, and this was a gift from Hannah for my birthday. This is an Ed Nash. As much as I would love a large one, that is not my budget. So I snagged a little one. Ed is wonderful, and I love his use of color. And this is moved from different room to room in different homes, and it just always looks perfect and works. He has great texture as well. This one Hannah gave to me, I think it was for like my 29th or 28th birthday, and I love it. They're a husband and wife team, the Pesmeyers, and they are out of Italy, and just the colors drew me to it. I love the beach, so had to have it. And then kind of moving through, this combo is probably one of my favorites. I really wanted to find a trim that was really fun and unique. And if you look at it closer, it's got like a nice raffia in there, again, texture. And then going off of this stripe that kind of muted and worked well against the rest of the paper. And that was, again, some of my first selections that I made when I moved in. Love a skirted table just for softness. And then you'll notice this is another weird thing. I guess not weird thing about me, but I love bunnies. And it came after I got married. My mother-in-law told me that bunnies live in a warren. So if you didn't know that, neither did I. And my last name being Warren just kind of made sense. So these are not bunnies that I go out searching for. Again, like I said, the sofa and the chair came to me. Bunnies just kind of find me. So everywhere I go, people point them out. I see them. And then not only that, everyone on Instagram, thank you for all your bunnies that you send me. I buy too many, but I'll never stop. So you'll see bunnies throughout, finials here. They're all throughout my bookshelves. As my husband says, they're multiplying like rabbits. And it's just, I love to have something to collect, and it kind of is fun. Our house was on a house tour, and people said as they got to different houses, people kept saying, have you been to the bunny house yet? Have you been to the bunny house? So I'm the crazy bunny lady. I love anything that is vintage. I collect throughout, like traveling. I love antique stores. So my friend Katrina got me hooked on these beautiful frames. They are very hard to find, so if anyone sees any, let me know. I have a few different colors, different sizes, but I just think they're so unique, the oval shape. Art, I always pick these up when we travel. So my husband and I have kind of gotten him into the art bug. So whenever we're traveling, I always pick something up and then come back, get them framed. And then books are very big for me. I'm a weirdo. I can't read a Kindle. Just everyone's tried. I've tried. I don't like it. I love a paper book. So any book that is on a shelf has been read. There's like boxes downstairs too. I also don't like a book on a bookshelf that I haven't read. They have to be like on a table somewhere. So anything that's up, you'll see, Hello Book Club, is all on my shelf. And again, lots of bunnies, lots of figurines, which are fun to collect. Yeah, styling bookshelves can be intimidating. I mean, I will be completely frank, and my mother-in-law helped me do these. There's something about doing it in your house that is hard. It's hard to make a decision, but when I get into a client's house and I do it, it is something that takes a lot of time, but I love it. So my biggest thing to tell you would be put things on your shelf. I'll say this a lot, that make you happy, make you smile, make you excited, because that's the whole point. You shouldn't have anything in your house that you don't love. And I'm not trying to be Marie Kondo or whatever, but always have things that you love and have a ton of them. I love layers of stacks. So you'll always see there's always going to be some height that I like to put in. I love things. I don't like bookshelves that are identical on each side, but they should always speak to each other. So you'll see there's like some higher stacks here, higher stacks there. So none of them are the same, and I'll show you some more in my next in, but everything still speaks without them being completely matching pairs. So speaking of things being like old and collected, these are some of my favorite little slipper chairs. They're tiny. My son actually sits on them now, and we've pulled them up for parties. I love extra seating, but I snagged these from Cherish, which you'll see I love Cherish. I use a lot for my clients. I use for myself. I just think you can find like such a wide array of things. And these are original velvet. So I didn't end up changing them. They just kind of worked perfect. And then as everything kind of came together in this room, I actually went down. I like to buy a lot of things before I know where I have places for them or clients for them, which is what happened with some of like these smaller pieces that are in this room. I like adore this little side table by our sofa, and you'll see the little magazine rack. I love anything that's like got a little story to it. And on our coffee table, I actually used this coffee table from my friend Adrian, who did kind of pulled these pieces for me. Gosh, probably like one of my very first photo shoots ever. And she knows if I'm ever like, hey, can I borrow this for a shoot? I'm probably going to buy it. I just, once it's in my house, I have a hard time letting it go. So I love, love, love this chagrin table. It adds the best amount of texture here, but while keeping everything like neutral and really quiet. So even though I have a 1.5-year-old, I keep everything styled. So that's why I said earlier, like everything in my house is like not formal. My son, this does become like a playground and have dinosaurs and trucks on it during the day, but he's been very good about not touching things. So I leave everything out. And I picked up this, I was talking about Schumacher. I picked up this fabulous little planner. You'll see one outside. I'm going to butcher it. I think it's like Jean Rocher. But I'm obsessed with him as a little toad. He's like the perfect pop of color. And then even on like the rest of these books, again, love color. So anything brass speaks to my heart. So they're everywhere, little Cricut boxes. And so we were talking about the name of our house, Club Bev. We have a lot of branded merch, apparently. So these little matchbooks a friend of mine gave me for Christmas 2 years ago. And she said it's like the chic thing now to have matchbooks at your house that people can take when they leave. So you'll kind of see them scattered around and people can take them as they go. And then collected on journeys. When we were in Florence, I fell in love with these little boxes. They're all like little hand cut shells, I think, but I have a little picture frame that matches it. So they're kind of like all over, and that's what I mean. Everything has a story in this house. I'm a big candle person, so I always have one burning, and this is like a new one that I just picked up, and I just like love the little container. So nothing special about it, just wanted him here. One of my biggest things that I do with my clients, and I do with myself, I'm like obsessed with them, and I think everybody should have a frame TV. No more black like boxes on walls. So I love this. I change this art out like every now and then. Honestly, I think I was saying this was like the hardest part of today was just finding this. But I love it. People have actually come in and be like, when did you get that piece? I'm like, it's a TV. So that's like my biggest trade secret. And then you can get these. I love these. It's like a brass frame, like artdeco.com or something. But they're fun. Again, vintage on the fireplace screen, and then another little bunny hiding and a couple here. This piece is my all-time favorite. I love anything Asian chinoiserie, and it's the perfect bar. Funny story behind it. I'm the type of person, even though I have a husband and movers, I feel the need to move everything myself. I just don't like to wait. So I put this guy on movers and moved him around and didn't realize it was plugged in. And the little wire broke, sparked, almost like started a fire, but it was fine. It was worth it. So on the inside, so unfortunately my light doesn't work anymore. But I use this a lot. I love having a bar handy. So use this a lot. This is actually turned into more of like my husband's bourbon bar. So he collects bourbon and I collect like 20,000 other things. Another fun thing I collect is glassware. So you'll see that kind of all throughout. I find them at antique stores. I find them online. I love a glass. So they are everywhere. And I just like to keep this like stocked and open, but it's nice to be able to close the doors and keep it closed when needed, when people aren't here. And so it doesn't take up so much space. And then kind of, I can show you right here. So you can kind of see a little glimpse into my office from here. I like it's an extension of our home. There's a lot of really fun art in here. We keep our game table set. We love to play Mahjong. So I just kind of keep it like always out with our friends. And as you go in, you'll see these are some of my favorite pieces. This is a Herb Williams, and it's made out of crayons. So I love the texture. And then we love to spend time in Harbor Island. So this my mom picked up for my birthday for me last year while we were there. So I love to like bring art back from trips so it still has a little bit more of a story to tell. And then this Kathleen Jones was one of my first pieces of art I ever purchased. I was dying to have one of her pieces, and that came up. I used to sit above our sofa in our old house, and I love it. It makes me so happy. And then these game chairs are probably some of my favorite pieces. My mother-in-law brought this fabric back from Paris a few years ago, or a long time ago. I've had it for probably 4 years and finally found a place for them. So it's great. And I ended up matching our Roman shade in here with some pillows on the outside to kind of pull the two rooms together. It is from one of my favorite, and I'm going to butcher it, Decor Barbare, I think. And it's a French brand. Anything French just speaks to me. So I love their use of color, so I pulled from both sides. And a scallop is very much Alexis Warren Designs. Walking through, we have a few more pieces. So you'll see a lot of old wood. I love that. And then this secretary we do use, but we just shove a lot of stuff in there. This is kind of a shrine to Harbor Island, just our travels. This is a view from the house we love to rent. My mom also gave me that. So it's very special. And then this piece on the wall back here, flanked by our sconces, is the first piece that I actually bought for this room specifically. So A, it spoke to me and I had to have it. B, it actually works really well in here. I love it. It's a collage, so it has a lot of texture to it. It has a lot of dimension. The colors were perfect. And then it's from Melvin G, and she is one of my favorites. So I've got a few of her pieces other places, and her faces are just spectacular. So I flanked the art with a more modern sconce. So you'll see that kind of throughout the house. I have a lot of traditional, but then I love something that's kind of unexpected pop. That's what gives your house layers and makes it feel lived in, makes it feel cozy. And that's when people kind of look around and they're like, oh, that's interesting. Sparks a little more conversation. This is a really funny thing that people picked up on when we did our home tour, and it's little things like this that I think make a house so special. So I changed out all of our light switches into these Forbes and Lomax. I love them. If I'm using a wallpaper, I always put a clear cover on there, and I always use unlacquered brass. I love a living finish, so anything that patinas, I'm so glad it's back, is something that I'm going for. So you'll kind of see them throughout the house, but it's just an element that I think makes everything a little more special. And then since our entryway doesn't really have a space to have like an exit or, you know, a mirror or anything like that, I used this beautiful, it's probably one of my favorite chests right here. It's French, and it has this great marble top to it. My great grandmother collected anything with a marble top, so it's just a fun little ode to her, but these are from Jessica Lev. She sources beautiful antique pieces, and then wanted to layer it with, like, everyone goes oversized. I love things going small sometimes, so I just love that it's like a tiny little mirror on your way out just to check your lip gloss. All right, so my other favorite detail of this room is this rug. There used to be multi-layered rugs throughout the house when we first moved in, and there was something about it. I just had to have a new rug. And everyone will laugh. All my friends are like, I remember this part of life. So I searched and I searched and I searched. And a friend of mine had started English Village Lane, which is a rug company. And as soon as I saw this rug, I knew I had to have it. It is called BB in the Corner. It is beautiful. And again, not that it necessarily needed to play off of all the colors in the wallpaper, but it did. It's every color in our wallpaper, but a little bit brighter. And so if you see, it's like got every color that I have in this room, and it just brings it all together in one. So it just brightens the space. It uses the light that comes through the windows and just makes the room feel bigger. And it is probably one of my favorite things in this room. Now I'd like to show you guys our den. Follow me. All right, welcome to our den. This is my husband's room, if you can't tell. I love the play of masculine off of like such a feminine, whimsy space. So this room, funny story, we had all of our furniture from our previous home in here. My husband said, we don't need to do anything in this room, it's fine. I did the rest of the house, and then he goes, okay, I hate this room, you need to do it. So this was the last thing that we finished in the house, and it is just so warm and cozy in here. This is where we watch TV, where my son plays when he is home in the afternoons, and so we have this great storage chest up here, which is actually filled to the brim with toys. So if you're here, normally there is stuff everywhere. So I wanted a piece that we could keep some of his toys down here. So this worked perfectly. It didn't take up too much space, and it just kept the room nice and open. Again, I like to have extra seating in a room. So these fabulous little teeny swivels came from Coley. And I just customized them to match the room. We do like to play a lot of games, so we kind of pull these over and we use our ottoman as like a game table, which is fun. And the ottoman actually has turned into my son's like personal stage, I guess. He's still little enough that he climbs up here and he stands, and you'll just see him. He's kind of like, he's got toys everywhere. He's standing up, he's watching TV. I stopped fighting it, and just let it happen. And that's why when I say nothing in my house is overly formal, overly done, it's because I want everything to feel like my son can play, my dog can jump on the sofa, my husband can, eat snacks in here. I never want friends to come over and feel like they need to put on white gloves or not be able to like touch anything. So I love character as well. So if something gets dinged, I don't freak out. It's okay. You live in your house and it's supposed to happen. So on the ottoman, I had that made in a workroom of mine, and then I used this fabulous Schumacher. I wanted to keep this nice and light since everything in here is a little darker and moodier. And then my husband is very ottoman pro, so he likes to put his heels up, and he claims that tables get his heels. So we have an ottoman, great storage on the inside, and fabulous Schumacher on the outside. That plays so well with this Coley sofa. My husband really wanted a sectional, but I wanted to be able to walk out our back doors and keep it open for our son to play. So this Coley was the perfect size, and then I ended up finding this fabulous Holland and Sherry wool window pane, which I love, in this green. So it wears really well. This is my dog Maggie's favorite spot. And then layered in some like really nice pillows. So I love the way purple plays with blues and greens. So I wanted to pull a little more purple, and you'll see how that transitions into another room of ours. And then this fun little Schumacher pillow. My son's very into ball. So he thinks it's a toy, but it's not. It's fun to play with. This is a table that I picked up at a vintage store, and I loved. It's been our breakfast room table. It's been a game table. It's kind of been all over. It's just a table that works places. I needed something big in this space. I love having somewhere to set a drink down. I hate when I'm sitting somewhere and I don't have somewhere to put a drink and you're just holding it all the time. So this fit perfect. So this is Davis. This is like my favorite picture ever. We need to update them, but these are really fun. And then this is like one of my favorite frames. Lots of really great detail in it. And yeah, I splurged on the frame, but he's my baby, so he was worth it. And it's just so cute. Always lots of coffee table books. I love layers, like I said, and I love height. So again, more bunnies. You'll see them everywhere. My husband likes to play chess, so I picked up this little tiny like travel set that I thought he would enjoy and play with. He doesn't enjoy my gifts as much as I thought, but it sits out here and it's fun. And then of course, art that I just pick up along the way. So this is just like that little box that I have in our front sitting room. I fell in love with these little frames when we were in Italy. So again, this is from Florence, right at the Ponte Vecchio. And when we came back, this was our gift that we gave like all of our family. And I love them. I think they're so special and the detail is incredible. Again, this is a family room. So I always have my dog's toys out. Yes, hers is in like an Hermes ice bucket, but I saw that bucket online and it was in South Carolina. I said, hold it. Here's my credit card. I have to have it. And I went down there. I thought it was little. I think I could fit inside of that. So it just sits underneath the table and her toys just live there and it works perfect. We did shade store shades in here. I love them. They're on a remote. That was my husband's one request. He loves to watch TV in here. So he wanted to make sure that like as the glare came in, you know, min TV. So click of the button, those go down and there are a fabulous Zimmer and Rode. Again, the texture, I love. There was a darker green than the sofa. So they still tie in nicely together and it's got a little bit of that navy. And then this art is actually really fun. We had a hard time agreeing on what was going to go in this room. My husband doesn't have a lot of opinions about our house, but this room he had a lot of opinions about. So he wanted to pick the art. I went back and forth on a ton, and I realized we didn't have a ton of photography in our house. So I said, let's find something. We went on Slim Errands and we found a very underrated Slim Errands picture. I don't think I've ever seen this in anyone's house, which is what I love about it. And I said, I always love a story behind every piece. And this is actually in Cannes. And my husband and I were in Cannes a few summers ago. And it was like our favorite part of our trip. And we actually went tubing in the water when we were there. And so he saw that and he thought it was hysterical because my husband would be that crazy and I would be sitting there like, I'm scared to death. So that is us in Cannes apparently. And it's fun. It just complements the room really well. Speaking of his favorite things, so this Eames chair was his first big purchase in our house 2 houses ago. Our house was very modern. It was great. He said, I have to have an Eames. I have to have an Eames. We have a friend who has one. It's where everyone flocks. They want to sit. So he said he had to have it. And I was like, we don't need that. We don't need that. It's big. It's black. It's modern. We don't need it. Now it is my favorite seat in the house. And it complements everything so well. Like I said, I love something modern and unexpected with something super traditional like this Holland and Sherry. So he sits here, my son sits here, I do, everyone does. It's the best seat. So you'll see more of these. These are new. I love weird, funky art. So these are new and we have a lot in our kitchen. And this is actually called Dude Dinner. And it's by Tennyson Corley. And I've grabbed them from Shane here in Charlotte and I'm obsessed. They're just so fun. I love the dimension of them and it's from the Masters, or looks like it's from the Masters. So I just gave that to my husband yesterday for our anniversary. These are the 2 pieces that my husband did not want in here and they are here because it is the perfect space for them. Like I said, weird art speaks to me. I don't know why. I just love it. So these are super fun. There was a show going on at Soco Gallery, I guess back in like the end of the year. And a friend of mine, we saw them. We both like send each other weird art. We love it. Saw them. We were like, okay, where are we putting these? We have to have it. So when I went in, it was soon after my sister-in-law had passed away and her big thing was butterflies. And it's funny, this is like a tattooed banana and I didn't notice any of the other tattoos except for the butterfly. So I thought, well, I have to have that. And then I saw the fly and I was like, well, that's hilarious, a banana and a fly. So I got the fly. The flies were sold out. And so I asked, I was like, could you please, please, please make me one? So this is your cue to, anytime you see a piece of art, you fall in love with it. If it is sold out, reach out to the gallery, reach out to the artist, and I bet they'll probably make you another one. I have a couple pieces like that in my house. They're not identical, but they'll make you something similar. So I love these. I'm obsessed. More bookshelves. Again, they're layered throughout. I mean, this picture of Maggie is like one of my favorite things ever. I don't think Matt, our friend who makes them, I don't think she even like does them anymore. But I love it. If I haven't read the book, my husband's read all of these, but they're all just, there's stories behind everything. More of my favorite frames. We found this little postcard when we were in Florence, the little Pinocchio. I thought he was just precious. And again, a fun frame. None of my frames are ever the same. They're not all like brass and anything like that. They're all different. They're all unique. Campagna here in Charlotte does mine, and every time I come in, they just know they're going for something color and fun. And I like the way that adds to the green in here as well. I got my husband this record player for Christmas. So I was like, that's so chic to have a record player in a room like this. He said, I'll never use that thing. He listens to it all the time. I think I happen to have Beyonce in here right now, but he uses it all the time and we love it. It actually plays over the speakers, which is fun. And then just little things that I think are fun to add into a bookshelf. This is a postcard. There's a girl here in Charlotte, I think Curate Character on Instagram, and I've picked up a few things from her. My husband and I did High Hampton for our little like baby moon. So it's just a special place to us, and she had this. So pop a postcard into an acrylic frame and throw that in and layer it. And it just makes the space feel a little cozier. So when we first did this room was all blue. We have a darker ceiling, which even though we have low ceilings, I wanted to kind of lean into that a little bit. So this was all blue. My husband and I went to NC State. So, you know, a light blue Carolina room was not going to fly with him, but I liked how it brightened the space. So I stayed with the blue theme, and you'll notice I even painted all of the window trim, the dark blue to match the ceiling. So I wanted to play off of that and the multiple colors of blue that we had. So I found this fabulous Peter Fasano wall covering. It's a grass cloth. But I love the detail of like the stars that are in it. So it gave the room a little bit more texture. It warmed it up. It was just all this color blue. My painter came in recently after I did it, and he goes, didn't we paint this room blue? And I said, yeah. And he goes, and you wallpapered over it? I said, yeah. So that's what I mean. This house is ever changing. It's never done. There's always something different coming. So when we finished those out, I changed out all the hardware. These are modern Natter. I loved them. The bone color on there mixed with the brass adds a little texture as well. Back into this bookshelf, you'll always see I love acrylic frames. You can get them like cheap on Amazon, but you can add a photo without taking up too much space, which I think is nice. And then all my book club books and photos of everyone. So if you know my husband, you know he bowls every Wednesday. So Curate Character, who I grabbed that High Hampton from, had this needlepoint, which I thought was hysterical. Old bowlers never did. They just end up in the gutter. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny. I gave it to my husband for Father's Day, and he thought it was funny. So I just love little pieces like that just like add a little bit of charm. And then again, you have a story. These pieces came from Italy. I think they're also from Florence. My husband, I let him pick them out from a street vendor, and it was kind of like his first little taste into like picking out art. And so those are his pieces in his room, and it's special to me. I love it. You'll see I went with a bigger, darker, this is where the purple comes from, purple rug. I go to market in High Point, and I have some fabulous vendors that are there, and I saw this and I immediately knew this was going in this room. I like that it plays off of the dark ceiling. You've got some navies, you've got purples, you've got browns, and my son can play on it and it doesn't get dirty. I think at one point he even like smashed some yogurt into it, and you clean them out and it's totally fine. I tell clients all the time when they want something durable, pets, children, whatever it is, go vintage, go Turkish, go old rug. I think people are scared of them. Yes, they're a little more expensive. The price point sometimes is higher, but the durability of them is incredible. They've withstood so much, they're going to withstand your dog and your kid, I promise, because mine has. And then this is one of my favorite pieces in our house. This is a Justin Ellis piece. So when I worked for Sozo, the art gallery, Hannah kind of found Justin. She loves to find people. And he did this really fun, cool graffiti art. This piece I found in his studio when he was first starting, just rolled up, and I was like, I love that. What is that? It's really cool. You can hang it horizontal, you can hang it vertical. It's been both ways in our house before. And basically what he does is he starts and he plays music, and with every beat that changes, he changes his hands. So it's really fun. You can find some like different things in here. There's his head, and then there's his brain, and it goes up, and he's got fun stories behind everything. I think he said this one, he was thinking about like the underground of video games and thinking about like, you know, the different characters that are within it. And so all of that is in this guy's head. And I love the ombre that went through it. He's a fabulous person to chat with. And this is one of my most prized possessions because now his pricing has gone up and I would be out of the price point. But I did not put a frame on this. It's such a large piece. I loved the exposed edges of the canvas. And you'll see that in some pieces that I have around the house. I just think it adds another like element of casualness. All right, now I'd love to show you guys our powder room. Follow me. Welcome to my jewel box. This is one of my favorite rooms. So it is a full bathroom downstairs, which is very unique. This is still part of the original house. So I wanted to lean in. I wanted to make it very moody, very cave-like. So I went with one of my favorite paint colors. It's Faro and Ball Brijnal. It's beautiful. It has a great undertone to it when the sun hits it. So I painted everything in the room, full dip, ceiling, trim, all of it the same color, just to really lean into that like cozy feel. I didn't want this room to feel too big. I pulled in a yellow vintage rug that I found and had to have. It brightens up the floor. And then this mirror is one of my other like prized favorite things. When I was originally looking for a mirror for this room, I really, really wanted a vintage chinoiserie brass mirror. And I searched and I searched and I had found some that were newly made, and I just like couldn't pull the trigger. And then one day Slate, which is a store here in Charlotte, posted this, and I was like, put it on hold. I'm coming. I'm buying this. It is heavy. I picked it up, I moved it, I had to have it. It's actually signed at the bottom. The detail in it is beautiful. And then I flanked it with these more modern Kelly Wearstler sconces. It's a beautiful alabaster, which just keeps a good, nice, warm glow in here. And then throughout the space as well, you'll find I love figures, I love nudes. So they're all over the walls. And then the one over the toilet is actually a piece that Hannah found for, not found for me, but I found at Hannah's. She is an artist out of Paris. And what is so special about it is she always, or the artist, wanted to reuse architectural plans. So she found them in a warehouse in Paris and said, that is art. This should not be thrown away. How can we reuse it? And so she's repurposed it onto the back. And each piece that she sells comes with a letter to the buyer about the piece. So those are on the back, and I love it. And then on our windows, my friend Christina is a fabulous artist, and these are some pieces that I bought from her originally. I wanted to put them on the windows because I hated everyone always putting a shade down in here. It made the room feel too dark. So by putting these up, it created a little privacy to the outside. And then I wanted to cover up having a bathtub in here. So I created a floor to ceiling shower curtain with a scallop detail above the top. So all of that is completely hidden. And it actually makes the ceilings feel a little bit taller. But this is one of my favorite patterns, and I love that it matched the wall color. All right, and now I would love to show you guys my laundry room. Follow me. All right, follow me into the laundry room. Here is Maggie. You guys heard about her, but this is the famous Maggie Warren, or as some people know her, and she's being naughty, Margaret. So, like I said, crazy bunny lady. So this is kind of my bunny shrine, I guess. On this wall, my husband thinks this is like the weirdest, creepiest thing ever, but I love him. This is Jimmy. And my good friend up the street, like I said, we kind of like collect funny, weird art together. She has Batilda, who is like the matching, she's like a bird. We saw them at Miller Gallery in Charleston, and Jimmy sold. So I reached out and I said, could you please, please, please ask if Taylor Faulkner is the artist, if she would make me another one. She did. And this Jimmy came with a hat. So I love him. He's just so fun. People think he's like very freaky and scary. And I don't, I love him. And then next, Tennyson Corley, who does the girl dinners. I love this piece that she did. It has a bunny in it. And then I've been dying for a Mary Ball piece. They sell out quickly. I've never been able to get them. And then we were down in Phoenix for the Final Four, and we were losing, so I was on my phone. And Mary posted this, and it's called Carrot Sticks. So obviously I had to have it. And I love the green frame that it's in. And it just sits perfectly on this yellow Tebow wallpaper. I wanted something to go through our entire hallway up our stairs. And this to me was like the perfect texture and color and pattern to like pull all of our rooms together. Then in our laundry room, I've been in love with this Lake August wallpaper for years. I've never had a place to put it, and so as soon as we moved in here, I knew I wanted these here. This used to be like a bright yellow lemon paper, and I said, I have to have bunnies. Miles Purvis did these bunnies. I just keep buying them from her. They all have different fun frames on them, and they make me happy when I'm doing my least favorite activity. And then this bunny at the top, I just grabbed, and I love him so much. And then I scooped him up at Market at High Point from Lucky Fish Gallery. I'm pretty sure they're called like Lucky Bunnies or something like that, and had to have them. And then some more quirky, weird things. I keep all of my laundry detergent and things in these. I picked these up at Chinoiserie Squirrel. I love them. My husband says they're creepy. The eyeballs are like kind of falling off, but I love them. And then the last thing I did in here to really customize it was I changed out all of our hardware, and they're actually little brass bunnies. So something fun. And then I want to take you guys into our kitchen. All right, so welcome to our kitchen and our breakfast area. And this space, we actually have not done anything to. I did window treatments and things like that to pull everything together, but everything is original from our previous owner. And this is a story on what I tell my clients. We want to do like a big renovation and do some things to our house. And so as much as I want to paint these and I want to change everything out, I just never did, because I always tell my clients the biggest thing you can do is save your money for your big project. It's not worth putting something into it that you're just gonna rip out. So everything stayed the same, and then I just jazzed it up with our fun little window treatments. So as you come in, you'll see some more of my favorite plates. These are all brass versus the other ones on the wallpaper. And then here are some more of my girl dinners. So I love the slugs, but then these are all of my favorite things. So you'll see I have a very funny palette. I love everything, but French fries, pepperoni pizza, oysters, and most importantly, grilled cheese and French fries are my favorite. The little cigarettes on here just sent me. I thought they were hysterical, so I had to have them. And then, so that's just my fun little wall. And you'll see there's open spaces. I love to leave those so that like as I collect, everything continues to go up. And then into our little breakfast room. This room has changed quite a few times. Right now we have a table and it works really well. Other times I have a secretary and it's open and it's more of a bar area. But what I did in here to just kind of warm it up, I put in this fabulous Lisa Fine fabric behind all of the glass. I have a ton of glassware. Like I said, I love to collect them. I don't know what that looks like, but you'll see these are filled to the brim with glassware. So I wanted to close that and make sure no one could see them. And then the one thing I did change is I changed these. I love finding hardware on Etsy. It's not crazy expensive, but it makes a big difference. It's like jewelry to me. So popped those out and then created another little like cafe curtain here that hides like all of our like liquor bottles. This is my bar. My husband has his bourbon bar. I love a margarita. I love like anything like that. So this is all my stuff. And then the infamous Club Bev neon sign. I'm probably the most obnoxious neighbor because you can see it through our front window when we turn it on. But my son, this is his favorite activity, turning it on, turning it off. But when we named our house, it was because my husband wanted to name his gym, which is out in our shed in the backyard. And when we were in college, they called my husband's dorm room Club Bobby because he like had big speakers and loved music. So when we were trying to name the gym, we were like Club Bob, Club this, Club that. And then my friend Kels was like, Club Bev. We live on Beverly Drive, Club Bev. And then we mimicked it all after Beverly Hills Hotel. So it's very similar font, all similar coloring. You'll even see we have cups and everything made. So we have styrofoam. We also have some plastic cups. So we like a brand. And then moving through, typically I have a tablecloth on, tablecloth off, just depends. I love these tables. They're great if you have kids. My son is always pouring stuff on the table. And then a nice plastic chair that's easy to wipe. Another fabulous find from Schumacher. I love these. They're actually paper flowers in a yellow pail. Jazz up the space a little bit. And then I love a cafe curtain. I just think they're the cutest little things ever. So again, these are from, I'm going to butcher it again, Decor Barbare. It has this fabulous little edging on the bottom that I didn't know about until I looked it up online because the sample just has these. So I left it sheer to let all of the beautiful sunlight come in and then pulled the Lisa Fine into the Roman shades. So added a little bit of layering in there just to have a little bit more softness in the room. This is my first art piece that I bought. It is the most special piece that I own. I love it more than anything. I got this from Hannah when she owned Sozo, and this is Deb Koo. She's a local artist here in Charlotte. And I picked this up when it was like during COVID, like dark times. And there's a bar here down the street. It's called Selwyn Pub. And my friends and I love Selwyn Pub. and Selma Pub pepperoni pizza is my favorite pizza in the entire world. So when it was COVID and we couldn't go and we were missing everyone, I saw this piece and it just instantly took me back. So I purchased it. I had to have it. I've had it forever. This used to be cheese pizza, and I asked Deb if she could please make it pepperoni. So always ask your artist. They can pretty much do anything. So just made it a little more special. And then when we were moving, Maggie, she jumped in our back seat and went through it, and Deb was able to fix it. Thank goodness. But this is like one of my favorite pieces ever. It's just really, really special. So then as you move through, this piece up here is a Sam Sydney. I can actually take it and show you, but this is a Sam Sydney. I think it's one of the last doodles that she did. She said they're very, very time consuming, so she doesn't really do them anymore. It's all felt, so individual pieces. Again, the texture is incredible. And I splurged a little on the frame. Sorry, Bob. But I just love this, and Maggie's my special girl, so she deserved it. And then as you come through, you'll see, I guess I'm kind of, you could call me a Deb collector. Like I said, maybe I should stop collecting so many things, like even my charm bracelet, I just love stuff. So more is more. So this is another Deb piece that I loved. It used to sit by our coffee maker. But her use of color is phenomenal, and it works really well in our house. And then I continued on just to create cohesion between the two spaces. Some more Roman shades and cafe curtains. I mean, even my tea towels have bunnies. Like I said, I'm crazy. And then back here in our little coffee area, if this does not speak about my husband and I, we have to have two different coffee makers because I like Nespresso, he likes Keurig, so we've never been able to come and get one. On the wall, these are some of my newest purchases. I'm obsessed with Stuart Dunkel, and the one in the middle is Karen Burton. These, I love to collect pieces, like I said, that have a story, but they remind me of my son. We have Oreos and milk every single night, so that's like his thing. He's like the past 4 or 5 months, every night he has a cookie, and then he loves a French fry and he loves a dip. So that is also him. And the little mouse reminds me of like a little kid. They're just so cute. And then French fries, again, are life. So those are my newest pieces. And then you've got more bunnies. All right. And now I'd love to show you guys our dining room. Follow me. All right. So welcome to our dining room. This space, I say it every room I walk into, I love, is my favorite. I love a space that's warm and cozy. If we don't have a table in our breakfast room, we eat dinner here every night. I love using a dining room. I think a formal dining room is so special. We have dinner parties, we sit here, we chit chat, we play games. It's just a place that people congregate. We don't have a large kitchen, which I love because it keeps to that cottage feel, but this is where everyone comes and stays. So this table we've had forever. I love a burl wood table. Again, it adds really good warmth. I think it's like from CB2, but it's just such a great piece and a great size. These chairs have seen a lot of life with me. I found these at the Chinoiserie Squirrel, and they've been recovered a few different times. Our last house, they were a Schumacher bright blue with horses. Now they have this fabulous George Spencer velvet trimmed, and I think this is trimmed in just like a nice chocolate welt. And so it just feels a little more elevated in the velvet. But I love these, again, Chinoiserie. I just think it just goes with everything. And then, I mean, these fabulous vases that I snagged from Schumacher. They are that genre share again. I died. I saw them and I had to have them. So in this room, it is a walkthrough from our entryway. So same thing actually was in our last house. So I was kind of familiar with it and I like a quirk. So what we ended up doing was I took out the big chandelier and I put a flush mount, which I thought was more unexpected. You don't really think that you would see a flush mount in a dining room. It is Kelly Wearstler again, so very modern compared to all of the very traditional details in this room. The alabaster is so soft. It's beautiful at night when we put it on a dimmer and it just like glows. But it actually gave us the ability to kind of shift the table over to create a walking space. So with a drop chandelier, you would have seen that this was off-centered. So spoiler alert, this is not centered in the room. More Debku art because, I mean, this piece is too incredible. This has moved with me multiple places. In our last house, it was on blue paper. So all of the blue plates and blueberries kind of popped out. Now that it's on this beautiful like ferrule and ball that I've put wall to ceiling, now I'm starting to see more of the pink plates, more of the raspberries. And so it's really fun. Like as you move art, you'll see different parts of it. In the bookcases, these are all original to the house, which I love. So we keep our china in the bottom. I pulled in some Matilda Gold yellow, if you can't tell, love yellow. Knobs in there, which were just a fun play. And then these are all blue and white pieces. My son's other favorite word is dog, so everything is a dog. So he loves this room because there's dogs everywhere. But these are all just blue and white pieces that I've picked up that I've found all over. So it's just nice and warm and cozy. This fabric I had to have. Again, decor, Barbary. I loved the floral. I love how traditional they are. And then I ended up pulling in this Lisa Fine and actually creating a ruffle. My workroom is incredible. And so she did that for me. And then we pulled in the same trim that's on, or welting that's on the chairs into here. So we're starting to pull everything together. I love that cornices are back. If I could put them in everyone's house everywhere, I would. When I showed my workroom this design, he just kind of looked at me and was like, all right, Alexis, sure, let's do this. And I'm like, you love me, let's do it. So pulled in a pink. It's actually the same fabric that's on the chairs, and this beautiful Zimmer and Road fabric that is, to me, I love the yellow. It's got a really good texture to it. And again, it's a more modern play off of how whimsical and traditional the drape is. And then as you go through, you'll see it's all the way. Our big window also has it. Over here, this piece is another one of my favorites that I've collected. Some friends of mine started, it's called the Edit Sale. They do clothing, and then like for a couple of sales, they decided to do furniture, which was great. And I snagged this piece. I didn't know where it was going. I didn't have room in my last house, but now I do, and it is perfect here. We keep all of our servers on the inside. And then these rattan lamps I found at like a vintage store here. Actually, I think they're from the Chinoiserie Squirrel as well. Ruth Runberg is here in Charlotte. She sells a lot of really cool like accessory pieces, and I had to have this Queen Charlotte. I love the yellow, obviously. She was coming home with me. These are two of my most favorite fabulous pieces. This one Hannah used to have in the gallery. It never, like, I couldn't get it out of my head. So I had to have it. It's got bunnies, it's got butterflies. It just, the color, the saturation is beautiful. And so it works perfectly in this room. And then my Artie Vanderpool, he is up top. So this used to be in our bathroom, and I love it. It's got the Lee Joffa bunny. He's got the Hermes in there. So all of my favorite things all put together. Oh, and then this is fun. So other things that I collect are matchbooks. So you'll see those around. So these are all from like different travels, wherever we've been. I like to pick them up. And then in this bowl, I keep all of like our special corks. So again, everything has a story. And then my popsicle, she came from Shane. I love them. They look like they're like melting, which is fun. So another really interesting, funny story and detail. This is Maggie's perch. She is known as the dog in the window when we lived in Dilworth. She's always here. She's always watching. And how it started was when we moved into our previous home, we had like plastic bins all over. And so my husband had put one in our dining room window. Her bed was on top of it because it was a really low window. She just couldn't lay there and look outside. So that lasted for about 2 years, and then a year of us living in this house. And I said, I am an interior designer. I'm tired of seeing this plastic box with fabric draped on top of it. So again, my workroom got a really fun special request. And I asked him to create this little box. And so she jumps up and down all day. And as you can see, she's like happy as a clam in here. It's custom made to her exact bed size. And it's just a beautiful stripe that I thought matched really well. And then this is a bust that everyone tries to purchase from me. He's never going anywhere. He's my favorite thing. And the carpet, I'm obsessed. So we have a great carpet supply place here. It's called Halls. They have, it's called like their discount outlet center out to the side. And I was like, okay, I've got to find a rug for this room. What am I going to do? I just couldn't figure it out. And this is kind of how my house always comes together, I feel like. But I went and I saw one little corner of it. And I was like, I think that's going to work. I think it's going to work. Had no idea what the big rug looked like. And Brandon was like, okay, are you sure? And he told me the price. It was like so dirt cheap. I was like, if it gets in here and I don't like it, I'll just rip it up. It's fine. And it came in and it was the perfect play on everything else. It's also indoor outdoor, which I love with all the traffic and with my son just throwing food on the floor. It's perfect. So this is like my favorite part of the room. And now I would love to show you upstairs. And on our way, I'm going to show you a couple special pieces of art. So behind our door, we have watercolors of all of our previous homes. That's where my husband grew up. That was our first house. And then the bottom one is our most recent home in Dilworth. And the special thing is my mom painted it for me with my grandmother. So I love having it there. And it's just a little reminder every time we walk out. This piece, everyone cracks up about. It's Jesus saying BRB. I love having it by the front door. Spencer Herr is amazing. He's done like some really cool commission pieces, but I love him. So as you come up, you'll notice I did a custom runner. This is from Mirth Studio, and it is the best thing I've ever done. Makes me so happy when I walk in the door, and I love you can see it from the street. I think we were the first runner that they ever did, and it was really fun to do. So, and then on this wall, again, collections that I like to have are all of my faces. My Whitney Stoddard is my newest one that I'm obsessed with. And then they just kind of, I left that wall open, so they'll just kind of like fill all the way through, which to me is the most fun. And then when I did the staircase, we repainted our front door. So it was a purple, and then I had the banister painted purple as well. I love the way purple plays with yellow. And so as you come up, you will see how that transitions. So welcome upstairs. So when you come up, we're in this landing, which I love, and we'll kind of go through some art in here as we get up, but welcome to my son's room. This was such a special place to design. It's funny designing for someone you don't know. So, you know, you're pregnant, you're like, what's their personality going to be like? But it's perfect for him. So when I designed this room, we still weren't sure if we were moving out of our previous home or not. I moved at 8.5 months pregnant, do not recommend. So I designed as if it could go anywhere. And the biggest piece of this room was the wallpaper. So I ended up pulling this beautiful paper from Tebow. I wanted it to be something that could stand, you know, the tell of time. So I wanted something that could grow with him. I hate, you know, spending so much money on a child's room that in 2 years they're just not going to like anymore. And we can do anything with this, which I love. And it's in this good neutral color. I did all of the trim in this green, which you'll see kind of like goes throughout the space as well. This day bed, it actually works so great. He plays on here. It's got great storage underneath, and we can actually pop a trundle under there if we wanted to. I had this made by Liven Up Designs on Etsy. super custom. They're great. And then I pulled in a beautiful Lisa Fine stripe just to keep everything's very whimsy. I wanted this to feel very structured. And of course, there's a scallop here. The embroidered drapery is all from Schumacher. I loved it. I love that it was a nice, like, mature play on animals in a child's room. So they are, my husband again thinks they're kind of creepy. I think they're fun. And my son like loves looking at all the little animals that are on there. And then always a collection of pillows. And my son is the reason I can't have nice things, but I do it anyway. And everything survives. So moving through with art, this was a piece actually that my in-laws gave me for my 30th birthday. I love it. He's just like such a little sophisticated little bunny. And then this piece came from Well and Wonder. It's called The Carrot Thief. And it's from Maggie Warner. And I think he is so precious. It's a collage and it just works really, really well. And then as we played, I played off of the animal theme all the way around. So these actually started the entire nursery design. I really wanted walls of the Mary Maguire. I'm obsessed with them. So they're all through here and they actually go onto the other side of the room as well. My son's very into dinosaurs right now, so that's what all of his bedding is. So like I said, we live in an older home, 1940s, and there is a lot of hidden space. So with him needing a playroom, I actually knocked through all of the dormers through the front of the house and created this little playroom of his. So you kind of have to like scoot through, but welcome. So he loves to sit out here. He loves to look out windows. So I love this little elephant guy. And I keep everything, I mean, it's a playroom. It's not ever going to look perfectly, you know, put together. But I love just having little baskets of everything. And then this piece behind me, I'll kind of back out of the way, but this piece behind me, I saw Amanda Anderson is a local photographer here. She had like a pop-up of all her pieces and it says Bad Boy for Life. And I just thought it was funny. My son is actually very sweet, but he is kind of getting a bad bone. So I thought it was really funny to put in his little playroom. And I think that she said that they did that on like a trip to Kenya. And some little boy had just written it on the blackboard. And I thought it was fun. And then these little chairs, I always say, collect things that you don't know if you have a use for. I bought these probably like 5 years ago before I ever thought about having children, from Sleepy Poet, which is a place here in Charlotte. And they work perfect in his room when he's wanting to play. And then speaking of Sleepy Poet, so I also saw this before I ever, like, I probably got it at the same time as those chairs. Never thought, you know, anything about kids, but it works so great in his room. It's a vintage, it's blue. And then I popped in this like cute Molly Mahone red to play off of his play bed or his day bed. And then this dresser has lived a lot of life. It actually used to be my husband and I's dresser. And then it just fit in here. And that's why I love a vintage piece, is because they can stand time. They can stand kids, like anything he does to this thing, like it's not going anywhere. And again, it's a more modern piece in a very, very traditional room. So that is what I love. I didn't mention this downstairs in the bookshelf, but again, another quirk of these old houses. These used to be windows. The reason I know this is my mother-in-law used to grew up on this street. This house was in her carpool. And so our downstairs, the sunroom was a window, and then they turned it into a bookshelf. So I love being able to use like old features of a home. So his bookshelf, he has a billion books and things on here. So he loves like having story time. And then this Serena and Lily glider is the best thing ever. It has a perennials fabric on it. That was super important to me. I feel like I go into a lot of nurseries and their chairs are so dirty. And I just didn't like that. So I love perennials. I use it outdoor. I use it everywhere. It's still really soft and like it's as beautiful as it was the day we got it, and I've never had it cleaned. And then I played off of the drapery in a pillow and also his ottoman, and then more Mary Maguire's, which are my favorite. And then I saw this lamp. It is a Ralph Lauren from Visual Comfort. I saw that lamp when we were on our baby moon in High Hampton and had to have it. So it came in a brass top, but I decided I really wanted the shade to have a little bit of warmth to it, so I went with the paper shade. And then I love his little figurines on the top. And then this rug was also a very happy coincidence. My husband hadn't picked anything for this room, so he wanted to like feel, you know, like he had done something. So we were at Hall's at their discount side, and I had pulled some rugs, and he was like, no, that's just not right. That's not right. And when we saw this, I was like, yep, you're right. This is the one. It had all the perfect colors in it, and it just like, it blends really well in here. So my friend Devin and I like to call it, it's like a design, what is it? A design coincidence. It's just like a happy thing that happens. And so it just all fell into place. And then in his playroom, I pulled a shag carpet. I love shag carpet is back, just like cornice boards. So that is in there and nice and warm. And then I changed out his light in here too. So again, a little more modern, based off of everything that's traditional. So as we walk into our primary bedroom, we have this great little hallway that I love. And I love that this becomes part of our entryway. So this is my most prized possession. All I've wanted was a Hunt bunny forever. And so when my son was born, this was my gift from my husband. It was such a surprise. I did not think I was going to get it. He went back to, or he called a gallery in Boston, DTR, and had them ship it to us. And it's just my favorite thing. And I love when I walk in the front door, I see it every day. This is a vintage French chandelier that came from France. Again, anything old, I love. So as you walk into our primary, I kind of had an identity crisis when I designed this room, and I thought I wanted everything to be exactly the same. I wanted everything to be very light and airy. So I started off, these chairs started it all. They're Highland House. I loved the fabric. It's very peaceful and relaxing. So what I did was I took the same fabric, I had a headboard made, and I had all of our draperies made, and then layered those with a Roman shade. Love layering with Roman shades because they function really well. It blacks everything out, and then it gives you, again, like a good layer of texture. So when I started, also the bed skirt is that fabric. When I started, I said, everything's going to be the same fabric. Everything's going to be white and blue. Well, then I moved in and I thought, I love color. What am I doing? So I had to have this Matouk bedding. I think I did it like right after my son was born. And the way that this finishes the room and makes everything just feel more like me is perfect. These Schumacher pillows have moved with us from a couple of houses, and they just always work perfect. And to me, I pulled out a lot of the purples and the reds and the greens with this bedding. And then I just love to keep like a white duvet on top to keep everything clean. And then this is actually a friend of mine started. It's called Pippin House, fabulous duvets, and you can like zip them on and off. So that stays on because even my husband can do it. As you go through, we also have these great side tables from my friend Adrienne. They're actually like a sheet, they're like a skin, I think. And so I love how soft they are compared to everything else. These are iconic Alexis Warren lamps. I think they've been in my living room, both of my primary bedrooms. They've been everywhere with me, and I love them. This is my husband's little vintage find. I think it's so cute. It says pocket change. So he leaves that by his bedside table. And then again, you'll see frame TV, have to have it. This was one of the first pieces we picked up for our bedroom. I was visiting my parents in Raleigh, and my mom and I went to Rail and Style and had her refinish this. I love it. Again, it's French. All of the hardware I kept the same. I didn't update anything, and I didn't lacquer. I just wanted it to stay exactly as it was. Then playing again, adding a modern lamp on top of that, nice and soft glow. And then these boxes are so fun. I found these at Schumacher too. You'll hear Schumacher a lot. We got a store, it's great. I love these. You can just hide your little treasures in them. So I had a really hard time finding something for our bedroom. And the reason is I just feel like you put something in your bedroom, no one ever sees it. But as soon as this goose came in here, I mean, he has to stay. I picked him up from Ann Nielsen, which is another gallery here in town. And I was just saying to my husband, I said, that goose looks like he has a lot of stories to tell. It's covered in wax. It has so much detail to it. But it is our newest piece, and honestly, like probably one of my favorite pieces in our house right now. And I love, again, the unexpectedness of a dark, heavy piece against everything that's so light in the rest of the room. It adds a lot of like interest and layers throughout the house. So to me, home is warm, cozy, inviting, and family. So when you walk through my house, that's something you'll always see. If you walk through any of my clients' homes, you'll always feel that. And I always want, when I design a client space, I always want everything for them to feel like them. So everything should evoke your personality. And that's why I say, if you love it, buy it. All right, Homeworthy, it's been fun. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Cassidy. Welcome to my home in Charlotte. Let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Cassidy Montgomery, and I run the Instagram account, The Home on the Web. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is my 1939 colonial home that I share with my family, my husband and my 3 children, and our giant dog. And we've been here for 6 years. I have always loved this street, and I grew up about 2 streets over. I would walk this street with my mom after college, after graduating, and when I was living at home. And I would always say, I would love to live on this street one day. So my husband and I moved into a home few streets over after we were married and lived there for a while. And then one day, when I was about 7 months pregnant, we found out that this house was going to go on the market. And that day we ran over here. My husband's in construction, he's a contractor, so we kind of had an in. And we rushed over here, met with the owner, and basically said, like, we will take it right now, as is. We have to be here because the street is just that desirable. It was a fast move, but we had to get in quickly, and we moved in on a Saturday, and I had a baby on Monday. So it was chaotic, but that's just the way we set the groundwork for the rest of our lives here. It's just basically perfect for us. So we're extremely happy we're here. Welcome to my entry, which is the first room you see when you walk into our home. As you can see, it is white. It's Sherwin-Williams alabaster white. And I recently papered the ceiling with a Lee Joffa Taplow wallpaper to give it a little color because it was all white. But it's between 2 very colorful rooms, so I didn't want to fight with the walls. So we papered it with a paper that has every color of the house in it. And I think it's really brought everything together. Recently just rehung this visual comfort light that I love. This rug is from Vintage Rugs by the Bay. I found them on Instagram. It's a vintage Ushak, and it's so beautiful, and I love it because now it works perfectly with this wallpaper and everything else in this room. This is a panel, a Gracie wallpaper panel, and it is a strike off. So when you order Gracie, they give you the option to have a strike off so you can see their custom work. And they send you this. And this was for a client years ago when I worked at a firm, and I had it rolled up under my desk for maybe 4 years. And then one day I was like, I need to do something with this. So I took it out, got it framed, and now it's been hanging in our entry for probably 6 years. And I love it so much. I mean, it's a little off because it's not the actual thing, but it's beautiful. And it's the closest to Gracie I'll ever get in this house. These are sconces I found on Facebook Marketplace, and I love them because I love an iron flower. And they have little iron daisies, and they're so beautiful. This is a demi-lume that we have, and it just, we keep all of our keys on here, and it usually is a lot messier, but for you, I cleaned it up. All right, so this is the living room. And it is probably my favorite room in the house, as I've mentioned. It's calming. It's filled with really beautiful pieces to me, things that I love, that I've collected. It's actually probably 90% of it has all lived in another house prior to living in ours. I love a Facebook Marketplace find. I love a consignment find, an antique store find. And basically, this is where everything goes to live. It's just a hodgepodge of pieces that I love, that I found, and all full of color and make me so happy. For example, these green chairs were probably the first design thing that I ever did for myself. Maybe 12 years ago, they were in my in-laws' home, and I recovered them in this chartreuse because it's my favorite color, and it has been for years. And they have moved with us a few times, and they're always like a showstopper. People always love those chairs, and I love them because they bring the room together. This piece here was a Facebook Marketplace find. She told me that it was her best piece when she lived in New York City, and she paid lots of money to bring it down here to Charlotte, and then she got here and then it didn't work. So she sold it to me, and I love it because it's just I love the glass design, and I love that it's just a traditional piece that kind of sits in the corner and holds stuff that I can't show. These nesting tables are from an antique store here in Charlotte, and I love the kind of leopardy pattern on there, the tortoise, I guess you could say. And then it's just kind of covered with birds. I love ceramic birds, and I love a hydrangea. I go to my mom's house, who doesn't live very far away, and I cut off all her limelights, and I bring them here because we don't have any. But they fill our house, and I love them because they're just the best color. Chartreuse as well. I found these side tables on Facebook Marketplace as well, and they work perfectly with this sofa because the arms were so high, and I think they're so beautiful. And I love the delicate little tray here. And they worked like they were made to sit next to this couch. I just love that. Here's another coral shade and another blue and white accent because it's just kind of what I love. These brass wheat sconces were an antique find, and I've moved them around the house, but I think I really love them over here over the sofa, flanking these vintage monkeys in these really pretty hand-painted frames that are also an antique find. And then obviously flanked again by another antique find, these plates, because who doesn't love a plate on a wall? And it's just, I love the colors, and it just, it's like a little round piece of art. It's just perfect to add to any spot in your home. This sofa was and is a favorite. It's my husband's napping sofa. This is our first piece of furniture that we bought together when we were newly married, and it basically was the only piece of furniture in our home. And now it lives here, and it still serves a great purpose. This green visual comfort lamp is a Christopher Spitzmiller that I also found on Facebook Marketplace and had it shipped from California, and it made it here in one piece, and I love it, obviously, because of the color. This panel, also a consignment find. I mean, if you look at it, it's hand-painted. It's just, the colors work so perfectly for this room. It was almost like someone did it specifically for this room, and I just could not resist it. I love it so much. It's beautiful and it looks great on that wall, and that's all I can ask of it. And I love a panel, obviously, and the birds, because it's a continuing theme here. This cocktail table, it's fabulous for this room because anything else would just make it feel little. A table of this size, if it was wood, would just make it feel really clunky and in the way. And the fact that it's acrylic and you can see through it, it just almost feels like it's floating. The books are floating. It makes the room feel larger than it actually is. And I love that you can just like cover it with pieces of color and it just looks really cool, like they're just floating above your rug. The walls in here are Sherwin-Williams Hinting Blue, and the trim is Sherwin-Williams Languid Blue, less 25%. I actually painted this room on a whim. I was hosting a trunk show on maybe a Thursday, and that Monday I was like, I have to paint this room. It does not look good. I'm about to have all these people here. We need to change it. And being married to a contractor, you can make these decisions, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But we made it happen, and I had a crew come in here, and I picked these colors. I just walked into the store, and I just found two blues I liked together, and we made it happen. And the next day, we had the trunk show, and everyone commented how much they loved it. And I was like, I do too, and I'm just getting used to it. But yes, I love it. It makes everyone happy. It's been a very highly requested color combo on my Instagram. People always ask me and send me pictures of their rooms with the same color combo, and I love that. It makes me so happy. These chairs, an antique find. I love purple. It's my new favorite color, as you can see. I love it. I'm wearing it. It's here. I'm scattering it around my house now. I used to be a big just blue-green girl, but now purple is kind of I'm inviting it in. I love these Asian jars. Another consignment find, well, more of an antique consignment find. This came from my grandmother. It's just a brass boat. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's just something that I like to keep here. And we keep our remotes in here. But these birds are my favorite. I walked into a store and I just could not resist them. I didn't care what it took. I was going to bring them home, and I sure did. And I love them. And I take very good care of making sure none of my children ever touch them because I'm terrified that they'll break them. But here's some more blue and white because you got to throw that in. This lamp is actually from Target. You might have seen it. A lot of people had it, but it's, I think it was maybe $70. And I love throwing it in here, a real high-low kind of, difference. And I think it looks great and I love it. Actually, my curtains, these draperies are also, the consignment find just makes everything, it's like you put effort into your shopping. And I think that's really what I love about it, because it's like the thrill of the find is a true thing. And that is why I continue to do it and can't stop, really. These mirrors were given to us, and I love them so much because they fit perfectly in that spot. We couldn't ask for anything else. And I was so upset. I was so afraid they would not fit, and we got them in there, and lo and behold, they were perfect. So that was meant to be, and they'll probably never move because I love them so much. The demi-lunes, another Facebook find, as are these sconces. I can't help it. I have to. That's just one of those things that it's part of me is to keep checking Facebook Marketplace every day, and I end up with sconces that I never knew I really needed, but I did. This little brown sofa actually has a cute story. I worked for a design firm, and we had a client who was moving out of a very old home that had a gigantic room with so much furniture in it, but not just clumped together. It was all, it was just a giant conversational room. And this sofa was a part of one of the sets in the room. And it was covered in some super old fabric. And she was going to give it to, I guess, Goodwill or Habitat or something. And I said, oh my gosh, it's such a tiny little sofa. I love it so much. I'd love to put it in my daughter's nursery. So she let me take it home. And I had it recovered in a peach plaid. And it went in my first daughter's nursery. And it was just the sweetest little sofa. And I love that it had a story. It had been sitting in this cocktail room of this fabulous house for, 70 years. And now it was in my daughter's nursery. And I thought that was so sweet. And then once she was too large or too big to have a sofa in her room, we took it out and I had it recovered in this Lee Joffa Asian cloud fabric. And I love it so much. I think it's so cool. It's like a grounding for the whole room, this brown sofa, but the petite size makes it just perfect for someone just to pop on and sit on it for a while. And it's very comfortable. Even after all these years, it's still extremely comfortable. So the rug in this room is a custom rug or carpet that we had cut to fit the room. And it is Stanton Mirage. And just to show how revolving this house is, I've already made plans to take this rug out of this room and put it in my primary bedroom. And we're going to cut it down and bring it up there. And then I get to go on the rug hunt again for this room, which I'm excited about. But the house is ever revolving. Nothing is safe where it is. There's something is always going to be moving. So this rug is no exception. But it's a great rug. It just needs to be in a less trafficked room. When we designed this room, my husband was like, I need a TV. We only have one other TV in our living area, and the kids have to watch TV, and I don't want to watch TV when whatever they're watching, so we had to put a TV in here. And so the exception was that we did the frame TV, and I get to, put beautiful art on here. This is an Alexis Walters, and I think if I have to have a TV, and it should have an Alexis Walters piece on it, because it looks like art. And it's fabulous. So, and now we have a TV, and so everyone's happy. And these pieces, the pink piece below is by Kelsey Reynolds, and the piece above, the more landscape, is Anna Vaughn. And I love them together. I think they look really pretty, and the light hits them lovely. I would have to say this room is my favorite. To be honest, I do not get to spend a lot of time in here. This is our formal living room, as formal as this house gets. It's basically all the things that I don't want to put in any other room to end up in anyone else's hands, my children. But it's very serene, and I just think it's really pretty, and it gets great light, and I can sit in here and feel calm. Maybe it's because no one else is in here. I don't know. But it's just lovely, and I love this room, and my husband does too. This is his preferred napping room, but I think it is a favorite for the adults. The kids really don't have any interest in it, so it's probably why. But I love the color, and I think that really lends itself to being peaceful in here. Now I'm going to take you into our sunroom. Okay, so this is our sunroom. Also our breakfast room, also a play area for our kids. When we first moved into this house, this was the dingiest screen porch you've ever seen. It was moldy and mildewed, and the screen on it was filthy, and it had a huge awning off the window, so it was so dark. We knew that we needed to turn it into actual space that we could use. So when we got around to it, we turned it into a breakfast room, and it has just become the happiest little room in our house. We have this white tulip table here that is extremely durable and takes a beating, but always manages to look good after I clean it up. My kids can basically stand on top of it and it won't fall over. I found it actually in a consignment store here in Charlotte, of course. And it's perfect, and I couldn't ask for anything better. And I love it with these wishbone chairs. I think it's fabulous, and it works really well. I had a bench seat made here to store more of the kids' stuff underneath, and then also, as a seat in this big window. And I put this perennial pinstripe on here, and we had this faux Roman shade made, just because obviously I'm never going to block this light. I love it too much. I love some natural light, and this is a great topper for the big old window. This piece I had commissioned by an artist here in Charlotte named Holly Graham, and I love it. It incorporates all the colors of the room, and it's really cool, the layered pieces that she does. It's really well done. We chose to put a blue tile on the floor to make it kid-friendly and fun. and, you know, easy to clean up when muddy boots come in the house, because as you can see, there are always muddy boots here. This is also the Barbie corner. It usually is about double the size of this, but we, you know, for this, I toned it down a little bit, not to overwhelm anybody. Kids only play for so long with these things, so I don't mind seeing them out, because I know one day they won't be here and I'll miss it. So yeah, Barbie lives here. She resides, but she's fine as long as she keeps her house neat and we don't have to step on any tiny shoes. Here is my Bordello Pinero plate wall, which I love. I love a cabbage. I have been collecting them for a while. I go on eBay and I'll find special colors, and I have a stack in a cabinet of Bordello Pinero one-offs that I just one day hope to find more of, and then I'll make even bigger wall, but I love that. And this piece is really cool. The artist escapes me, but all the little flowers are 3D and ceramic, and they sit on top of that acrylic piece and looks really pretty. And then I let all my kids, we don't have an official playroom in this house, unfortunately. So we kind of have to make each room kind of playable, I guess. So this is more their art area, you know, next to Barbie. And under the window seats, a lot of art pieces too. So they come in here. It's usually a lot messier, but you know, we cleaned it up. But this is a great area for them to color. They like to go outside and color, and it's just a happy room. This chandelier, I love. I basically incorporate rattan into every room somewhere, and this room is no exception. This chandelier is Regina Andrews, and I love it so much. I think it works perfectly in this space, and it, you know, it's got the rattan arms and the shades, and I think it's lovely. But also with the rattan console here, I got a little carried away. My overall style is very transitional. I love a classic line. I love a classic pattern. I love like structure and detail, but I do like a few modern pieces thrown in. I love color and texture, and that is just how I keep adding onto the house. And when you love that stuff, you can keep adding because it just makes it better. And so the more the merrier, basically. But color is probably my favorite thing. And I just play off of that to make myself happy. And I think it makes everyone else happy, because white is nice, but you know, color always makes people happy. So now let me take you into the kitchen. Okay, so this is our kitchen, and this is a true labor of love. When we first walked into this home, it was scary. It was basically, everyone had labeled it a teardown, and mostly probably because of the kitchen, it was horrendous. It was lots of brown. There was tile on the counters, which was an odd choice. This whole area right here was a wall, and it was walled all the way across here, so you couldn't see anything into this room. And it was dark and just bizarre. And we bought it nevertheless. So we knew what we were getting into. So in 2020, we decided, hey, it's the pandemic, let's remodel our kitchen. So we did. And also I was pregnant. So, you know, we do a lot of things when I'm about to have a baby. But we took it down to the studs, this whole back room, got rid of all the walls, and added in, you know, an open plan so that we could be in the kitchen and still be in the family room at the same time, which was important so that we all felt together. We tried to utilize the walls to create pantry space because we did not have a butler's pantry at the time. So these big cabinets are actually pantry. This is a fridge, all hidden, they all kind of, you know, look similar, so you get deceived, but that's a freezer, fridge, and then we have, you know, didn't want to waste any storage, so these up here are also deep storage for things that you don't reach for all the time. This was a range. Our range was on this side, and we flipped it to that side, and there was a wall, and we knew we wanted to open it up so that we could see into the room. So we made it this big peninsula, as it's not an island because it's connected to the wall. And we used this marble that we had leathered. And I love the leather because it creates a fabulous texture and it's very forgiving, at least in our house. And we waterfalled it down here, which I think made it look, modern and chic in the same time. These lanterns I found online and they were black, but my husband painted them a shade darker than the cabinets. And I loved the blue on blue, a monochromatic moment, if you will. I think that looked really cool. We kept it kind of like a galley. It was a galley before with a T. So we kept it still that galley and it's worked for us. I mean, it's not that giant open floor plan that you fantasize about, but it's really worked and we really love it. And, we didn't do upper cabinets because I wanted it to feel open. And we did do one cabinet here, which is kind of like a furniture piece almost. And we put this brass grating on it and it's just glassware. And I think it's really pretty. And I love that little piece that sits here on the counter. So everything was marble. We did marble all up on the wall. And we even did a marble sink, which I don't highly recommend, especially in a kitchen. We've had to tweak that a few times, but it was really beautiful. So I can see why we had to do it. The blue of the cabinets is Benjamin Moore Van Cortlandt blue, less 25% again. I always go down in percentage just to keep it from being too pronounced. I don't know why. I just feel like it kind of simmers it down a little bit. These sconces are Visual Comfort, a great classic sconce. Does a great work light when you're, prepping over here. This range, we went back and forth over a lot of ranges, but we ended up with this range from Blue Star. And it's really cool because you can customize your entire range down to, there are, 7 different whites to choose from. And we chose this white and, the antique brass handles over any, you can do whatever you want. You can add anything. It's a really cool feature to that company. Our house is not huge, so we have to utilize every space as well at the best we can. This room back here is our laundry room and also passing through into outside with another ongoing project, if you can see that. But this door is a pocket door with a unique feature. It opens at the top. And this is because this room is also where we keep our dog when we are not at home because she's large and will end up on top of the coffee table if I let her. So she stays in here and this allows her to not feel like we locked her in a closet. So this is her little, doggy door basically. And yes, she has jumped through it. So it doesn't work perfectly, but it's really cool. And we enjoy it because it just keeps her at bay and it's a fun feature. And a pocket door is a must, for space saving. So Home on the Web is my Instagram account that I started about 5 years ago, basically out of boredom, and started it. And I just started putting multiple options for one thing, like coffee tables. Here are 16 coffee tables and here's where to find them. And then I actually forgot about the account. It was high Instagram days. So this was maybe 2018, late 2018, and totally forgot about the account until one day somebody reminded me that I had it. And I was like, oh yeah, I should do that again. So I jumped back on and started doing it. And then it kind of took off and people really like seeing the options of pieces in your home, which is hence the name, like Home on the Web. Like how to build your home from the internet. And people loved it. But then I started getting kind of bored just doing options and showing things from online. And where I actually prefer to find my pieces offline, I'm a big, rather than Facebook Marketplace, but that's another story. But I kind of diverted it into more of a lifestyle account where I talk about, my house, but also my kids and clothes and everyday life and, when I partner with companies, I share that. And when I collaborate, that's something else that I get to share. And it's typically home related or family related, but always like something that makes me happy and is like fulfilling to me. So it's just something I love doing. It's been a great creative outlet. So it's just kind of grown from that little account that I used to have. Now we'll head down to the family room, which this house was interesting because this room is sunken. So you have to go down 2 steps to get to the room, which was an odd choice a long time ago, but I guess they had to do it for some reason. But it works, it's fun. It just gives it a little retro feel. I love this room. It's basically where we live 90% of the time. My kids play in here. We watch TV in here all together. It's typically covered in trucks and toys, but today it's not, which is good. So you can actually see the floor. The trucks are still here, as you can see, but like I said, this is a short-term thing. So I let the trucks live because I know that one day they won't be there and I'll miss them. These sofas, I decided to maximize the space so that they could still play on the floor by facing them across from each other and, you know, keeping the floor open. And I just threw this ottoman in here. You know, it kind of moves around. It changes its location all the time, but it's just, we don't have a coffee table. You know, one day when they don't want the floor space anymore, but it's just something that it's more comfortable for them, and we don't miss the coffee table in here. I'll just put it that way. These shelves were something that we saved from the renovation. We could have knocked them out, but I always wanted built-ins, and then I got them, and now it's kind of like, what do you put on them? So I put all of their little books, not little books, I put their books on here, and then I think the color is really cool on the bottom. You know, it's like a rainbow base. And then I just have filled it with lots of pieces that I love and, you know, framed pictures of our family and pieces of art. You know, small art is great for shelving because it fits on it. And it also brings your shelves to life and it looks just really beautiful. Funny story, when we moved in here, there was a locked cabinet and we somehow opened the cabinet and it was filled with the strangest things. But 2 of the things were these 2 bowling trophies. So I had to keep them. So they're on our shelves, a memoriam to whoever lived here prior to us that was a expert bowler. These pillows are from a female-run company here in Charlotte, Piper Collection. And they do a fabulous job of providing like really beautiful designer fabrics and awesome fillers. And they're based here in Charlotte. Another visual comfort lamp. I love that lamp. It is one of my favorite pieces of lighting in our home. These curtains are Pepper Home. And they were one of the first things I wanted to put in here when we renovated because I love that pattern so much. The trucks are, you know, a must. Everyone needs a room full of trucks and we have them on either side of our fireplace. We use this fireplace all the time. It's just, we went through 2 cords of wood. And if you understand anything about wood, that's a lot of wood. So we went through 2 cords of wood last winter because we just love a roaring fire. And it's a wood burning fire. So that makes it fun. This rug is a great rug for this room. It's a Stanton indoor-outdoor rug, but it has a really soft feel to it. And the kids have never complained about it like hurting their knees or, you know, not being too rough when they're sitting on it. And it takes a stain really well. The walls in here, all the white in our house is Sherwin-Williams alabaster. And it's a great, you know, it's not a stark white. It's not cold. It has a little bit of warmth to it. And I think you can really tell in this room because the light hits it really nicely. And it doesn't feel like you're in like a super stark room. Because I always have to add rattan to a room, I have these side tables that I really love because they fit this space so well and they're really narrow and they don't knock over. And my kids actually move them around all the time and use them when they're playing, and it's really funny, but they're very durable. I've had them there for a while and I think they're just like the perfect they don't get in the way when you're walking through. This piece is a print, and it's called Parrots by Paul Duffy, I want to say. And I love it. It's one of those pieces that you look at and it just makes you happy. And it kind of like has every color of the room inside of it. When we first moved into the house, one of the first things we did was I had a newborn baby and a toddler. So we carpeted this entire space in a white patterned carpet, which was a ridiculous decision on my part, but I was also very pregnant and indecisive and had no idea what I was doing at that time. And it was great for about 2 months when they were like rolling all over it and nobody had skin knees and it was fabulous until they started spilling things on it and it just started looking awful. And these 2 chairs at the time were the only furniture we had in this room. And they loved it because they're swivel and they would spin on them and they just kind of were like 2 little islands out in this room. It was really funny, but I've always loved these chairs. And it's great because they're so low that when you walk in, you're not looking at the back of a chair. You just look straight over it and you never feel like they're in the way. So, with size of furniture, when you're thinking about that, think about the fact that you can see over this chair rather than to the back of the chair. I think that's just a really good feature. Now I'll take you into the center room, or we call it the green room. This room is unique because the ceilings are extremely low. It's below the stair landing. And I think originally when this house was first built, this was the end of the home. And this was the den or living room, or maybe not the living room, the den probably, for the house. And as you can see, it's really tiny. And this is an extremely small powder bathroom right here. And that was probably, it's basically 4x4. It's pretty small in there. But these ceilings are not great for all of my tall friends. But we painted it all green. This is Relentless Olive from Sherwin-Williams. And we painted the ceiling just to create kind of like a cave. And I think it really made it feel that way. And I think it's kind of cool because it's super bright on both sides of the room. So the light comes into it rather than it really needing light. It had this strange little built-in, off to the side, halfway sticking out of the wall. And I really wanted to knock it off and just close it in. But my husband wanted to keep it. And so he kept it. And now it's just become kind of a place where this is my little nook, my little desk, if you will, my little office. And it's a place where I can just put all my things that I have collected because as you get older, you kind of lose that because people go into your things so often. So I get to put up little tiny pieces just that I've collected over the years. And it's just like a special, happy little shelving area for me. And this is a mirror that I found with more metal flowers, metal daffodils, and I couldn't resist it. I think it's so cool, so I had to put that up here. This shade came from Hong Kong, and I thought it was so beautiful, and I had to keep it. I had to get it in here. And then I had to completely rework that lamp to get it to fit because it had such a strange little harp inside of it. But now it's beautiful, and it will be like that forever because I will never change that out. And then these are all pictures of my grandparents and my family that I love to keep, and one day I will frame, but for now they sit there and I can still look at them. This Burla desk actually came from Wayfair, which is, this is one of those decisions that I made just because I knew what I wanted, and instead of searching, because this would have taken forever to search for my, Facebook Marketplace or consignment, I knew what I wanted and I wanted it quickly. So Wayfair was way to go. And it actually turned out really well and I'm happy with it. And I think it's really beautiful. This piece was my favorite piece of art growing up in my parents' house. And I always wanted it in my own home. And so it's on loan to me. But I love it so much. And I think it looks really cool paired on this green wall. And it's a woman driving away with a dog hanging out the back. And it says Fantasy Escape Series, and I always thought that was really cool. I don't know the artist, but it's old, it's cool, and I get to look at it every day here on my wall. So for this room, it's kind of like the throughway, but I didn't want to make it just a walkway, a wide walkway. So I put this round table, skirted table here. So people still had to walk around it, but it just gave it a little more interest. And I hung this visual comfort lantern over it just to create like a little space of, a point of interest for the room, because without that, I think it would be kind of just like an empty space that you had to just walk through, and felt like a strange little room. Our basement's off this room, so it's a utilitarian room, but it's just tiny but mighty, I guess is what you could say. All right, so now let's go into the dining room. So this is the dining room, and this is my second favorite room in the home. It's covered in this Lee Joffa GP and J Baker Nymphis. And this is a wallpaper that I loved for so many years, and I kept a sample in my desk just hoping for one day to be able to use it. And then I got the chance in this dining room, and I could not pass it up. And so I knew this would be the green dining room. So we used the green colorway in the Nymphis, and then for the ceiling, we did a lacquer, a fine paints of Europe lacquer in a color that's within the paper, and it came out so beautiful, and I love it so much. You can, at some points in the day, you can basically see your reflection in the ceiling, which is awesome. I think that's a really cool feature. These chairs were a Facebook Marketplace find. I love a spider back, and they were coral. And at first I wanted to change them because I thought it was a little too much for the room. But then I realized that coral is basically my accent color for the whole house. So it worked out. And I don't think I'll ever change this coral velvet from the chairs. I might paint the chairs one day, but everything's a project. So everything's revolving and evolving, and we'll get to the finish point someday. But until then, I think they look great as is. This dining table was in an antique store that I walked into. I saw it and I called my husband. I said, I found the table. I found the table we need, and it's perfect. And it was. And we got it, and it literally fits the room perfectly. And I love it so much. It has a great base that my kids sit on or have play underneath, which is fun. I think it's really cute when I look down and find like random Legos and tiny little like cows and random animals under there. These draperies were another Facebook Marketplace find. They were 11 feet tall when I got them, and our house is unfortunately does not have 11-foot ceilings. So I had to trim them down. But they look beautiful, and they work perfectly with the wallpaper, and I think they were a really special find, and I love them so much. This chandelier I found on Cherish, and it came from Palm Beach, and I just love, anything with a story. It's always like, you wonder where that was before, and now it's here. Living a different story, but still the same, and think it's really beautiful. My friend Mary with Marigold Florals here in Charlotte created this piece for me. I think it's really pretty, and it brings all the purples that I love so much into the room. I set the table. I'm not fancy when it comes to setting the table. I don't bring out the china or make anything feel uncomfortable. I want to keep it pretty, but approachable, and I think that this is something, this makes me, if I sat down at this table right now, I would feel, I would find it beautiful, but also comfortable, and, like I wasn't going to break anything. And these white plates here with the scalloped edges are also handmade in San Miguel and from Half Past Home. I think they're my favorite plates. They're very heavy, and they're just, a really pretty piece that I'll have forever. This portrait is of my grandmother. It was painted by her uncle. This is also on loan from my parents. And I love this painting so much. I am just mesmerized by it it sits in their dining room when it's not here. And I just find it to be mesmerizing, and I love the color. And I think she looks really beautiful, and I love that so much. I love that her uncle painted her. Over here is a little bar area. These shell lights I found at a consignment store, and I walked in, I saw them, and I knew I had to have them. True testament to saying, buy what you love. If you see it and you love it, you're meant to have it. Like, you got to do it. And I saw those. I was like, I don't know where they're going, but I'm going to make them work. And I had no idea they'd end up here, but they did. And I love them here. I think they're really unique and special. And, you know, they just add a nice textured feel to the room. This was also Facebook Marketplace, as was the mirror. I can't fight it. It's just my nature. The rug, however, was from Malargo, and that she is in Texas and does really beautiful rugs. And I thought this rug worked perfectly with our wallpaper, and it does, and I love it so much. Now let's go upstairs to the primary bedroom. All right, and this is our primary bedroom. It is probably the most recent project in our house. As of yesterday, there were 6 people in here working, and I'm really looking at it for the first time myself today. This room, we did not have a very functioning bedroom. And, you know, they say your bedroom should be your sanctuary. Ours was just our holding place. We didn't have enough storage. We had things everywhere. I didn't care what the bed looked like. But then we realized we have to get this under control. And so this wall was just a blank wall with a window, and we had a dresser, and we were trying to figure out how to store everything. So we decided to make built-ins to be our storage. So each of these sections here are hanging space. And then we have all this shelving, and these are drawers, and these are doors with more cabinet space. And in a few weeks, they'll have hardware, and that will make them even more beautiful. And then in a couple more weeks, these will have antique mirror in each of these door panels, which will be really pretty. But like I said, they just got finished up. They're a new feature to the house, but I'm super excited to have them and utilize this space. And I think this is if you have a room that doesn't have enough storage and you can have built-ins made, and I would highly recommend it, because it really didn't eat into the room, and I don't even feel like the room got smaller. It just, now we have more space to put our stuff, and it's kind of hidden and pretty. And we used, the color is Sea Salt by Sherwin-Williams, and I'm in love with it. I think it's so serene and really beautiful. And you know what? It pairs really well with coral, and I think that's fun. And that's, you know, another way to sneak coral into every situation. As you can see on these windows, there are no window treatments because we don't have them yet. We're still waiting, which makes waking up really easy. Going to sleep, not so great, but soon they will have window treatments. You'll have to come back for that. So this wall currently has a TV kind of floating in space here because we are having a piece made for our shoes. That will be a special cabinet furniture piece that will also be holding, you know, 30 plus shoes, which I can't wait for. Until then, I have this dresser that also goes in my son's room here. I am a big advocate for a fan. I have to have a fan in a bedroom. I have to have the wind in my face while I'm sleeping. So this is a visual comfort fan, super minimal. It's, you know, it's not the chandelier we all, you know, want in our bedrooms, but it keeps me happy. And it disappears into the ceiling. I think that's a great feature. You know, I have my greens and my purples and my blues again in this room. And then I brought in the coral, and these really cool little lamps are from Pookie Lighting. And I fell in love with this shade and knew they had to be in this room. And funny enough, they're Lee Joffa, such as many things are in this house. I think they're just really beautiful, and I love them in here. And these are actually cordless lamps, which is really cool. On our bed, this is a custom Pepper Home lumbar, which is a great, you know, monogram piece, and has one of their signature fabrics on here. These were a consignment find, and I think they're really beautiful, and I love them. And I saw them in a store for a couple weeks, and I kept revisiting them, and I was like, I have to take them. They have to work somewhere. They're huge, and they wouldn't fit on a sofa in my house, but they fit on my bed, and I love them on my bed. I mix a lot of different bedding, Serena and Lily, Bowl and Branch. My duvet is from Pippin House, which is owned by a Charlotte-based sister duo. Duvet system that they've created to make changing your duvet a lot easier than it used to be. So I would say my favorite design tips would be, or the ones that I would feel like I need to pass on, buy what you love. Don't buy to fit into a style or to be perfectly matching with something. I think it creates character and it makes it look collected when you bring something in that doesn't exactly match with the room. Or, you know, you walk into a store and you see something, you're like, I love that, but where would I put that? Just bring it home because you're gonna find a spot. Like, or you could change the whole room for it. But I mean, I think it's basically like, if you wanna make yourself happy and you're living in this space, then put things in it that make you happy. And also, I mean, this might be just because I love it so much, but use color, even if it's one color. Bring in color, add color, and it's just, I don't know, it just creates so much depth to a room, especially, you know, you can even layer with color, like coffee table books. They're filled with color. Like even if your whole room is white, just add color from your accessories or, you know, pillows, even if you had to go all white. So next we're gonna go into the primary bathroom. So this is our primary bathroom. This bathroom, when we first moved in, was pretty ugly and was not desirable, and we knew we needed to change it. So in the past year, we actually gutted it, and it used to have a pair of sinks right here on this wall with a big mirror, and this from about here over was the closet space for the bedroom. So it was basically these, but just white cabinets, and that's where you hung your clothes, and it wasn't efficient, and so we knew we needed to change it, but unfortunately it was the only closet space in the bedroom. So we decided to come in and, you know, do his and her sinks across from each other. This is a cabinet for all of our towels and medicines and whatnot in here. And then we have the upper cabinets again, utilizing all the space because it's very necessary in a house with not a lot of storage. And then these are two hanging closets. And I used a paper here from House of Harris, another sister duo, and I love it. I love pulling the colors for the rest of the room from it. I think it's just fabulous. And I knew they were panels, and I knew I wanted to put them somewhere. And I was like, I could put them on these doors and they'll, you know, get the point across. And I think they've just been such an excellent backdrop to this room. And I love these panels. This little bench I found on Facebook Marketplace, and then I recovered the seat, and this is an Elliston House fabric, and I thought that was really cool and played well with this wallpaper. The floor is a light blue hexagon penny tile, and I think that's really cool, and we played it all the way through into the shower, and it was makes the room feel larger, obviously. We decided to do a natural oak with a reeded doors and drawers, and I think that was really pretty and very different from all the painted wood we have in our house. So when we remodeled this bathroom, we took a shower that used to be in this space over here, and the toilet, which was across from it, with a little door in front of this window. And we knew that we didn't want to put the toilet in a room by itself because it would close off the light here from this window, and we would lose more square footage from this bathroom. So we decided that we would put the toilet in the shower. The shower is really large and extends to the window, but then also the toilet is here. And it's a robot toilet, which, you know, is extremely exciting to all the children in our house. But the toilet is in with the shower. And apparently that's a very European thing to do. But we had to utilize the space as well as we could. And actually, and here the questions are always, no one uses the toilet and takes a shower at the same time. The water does not get to the toilet. The floor's sloped. So there's no splashing over here. It stays very dry. And it's just, we kind of use this bathroom as a bathroom with a toilet and a shower that, you know, it's a one-person bathroom basically. So if you're taking a shower or using the bathroom, you're in here by yourself. But, you know, we got our space out of it. We didn't have to put any walls up. And I actually we had a partition made. And when they were coming in to install it, I backed out. I was like, I can't do it. I like the openness. So we kept it. And I know it's really odd, but it works. And, you know, if you too have a space that you need to possibly add a toilet to your shower, it works. Home means to me a place where your family resides, where all your loved ones live under the same roof, where all the things that you love are housed, and it's a place where everybody can feel safe and comfortable. I think comfort is key. You want to be comfortable in your own home. And home is where the heart is, right? Isn't that what everybody says? So yeah, everything I love is in this one place. My family and all my stuff that I love, because I do love stuff. So I would have to say it's just where everybody's happy and comfortable and loved. Home means to me a place where my family and I live together, where we are comfortable, because comfort is key. We want everyone to be comfortable and happy, where all the pieces that I've collected over the years live and I get to admire alongside my family. It's just a place where you can feel happy and comfortable and at peace, hopefully, you know, when people are at school, typically. Home is also where you can show your true colors and design however you see fitting. And it's your basically blank canvas to do whatever you want. Well, Homeworthy, it's been great having you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.